they're going to be exiting the tournament.
Yeah, he's going out quite quickly.
As a Claymore goes down.
This is possibly the biggest upset we've ever had in the tournament.
Particularly good trade.
Starting to go down now, but too little, too late.
The Sleipnir is MJTing himself out of the arena.
Yeah, as the Hugin goes down.
He just got volleyed through that.
They're just ripping them to shreds right now.
Starfleet is down.
Here you will find the bedraggled, good-for-nothing masses of Capsuleers, all vying for a chance to be taken seriously. Here you will find organisations that couldn't rub together more ISK than your average faction warfare corporation. You will find pilots who, when faced with adversity and true challenge, will likely turn and run faster than the big blue donut. You will find the hordes of F1 button-mashing pilots whose idea of PvP is nothing but being a minion who worships false gods they call their leaders. Not to mention those who don't feel comfortable unless they're in the biggest ships surrounded by 1,000 of their friends. Groups that think they're actually good at combat, yet howl around in packs. They only pick on the weak, oppressed, and vulnerable. Which piece of trash would bubble to the top of this steaming cauldron of mediocrity? This is the Alliance Tournament
Open Practice.
Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and everyone else, and welcome. This is the AT17 Open Practice Series, and we have finally reached the Invitational Finals. Over the past 6 weeks, we have seen nearly 20 teams try their hand, and now we have been able to pick 8 of them with the best record, judging by a scoring system that for now is practically obsolete. Let's take a look up at the brackets here, because we have an absolute gauntlet prepared for these teams. It is best of ones all the way to the final. And if that wasn't enough pressure, the final prize isn't just, a few billion ISK in skins as we've had previously. It is an entire Alliance Tournament frigate up for grabs. The T2 version of the Gamma being made by the Mordus Legion, and there will only be 51 of them in existence. So, with every team having that, having the potential to win that, why don't we take a look at this first matchup really quick, because we are going to be going into this in just 5 minutes' time. Black Bart Pirate, talk about these teams a little bit.
Yeah, for our first matchup, we have Odin's Call versus Platinum Sensitivity, both of which have been just performing spectacularly in the last several weeks, if not months. Odin's Call, I think they are 7-2 right now in their Alliance Opens, as well as doing pretty good in the Chinese Summer Games. And Platinum Sensitivity is currently 6-2, so both these guys are very good. I don't think either of them has actually gone up against each other yet, though, so they're kind of untested in that sense.
Yeah, Basilisk, what can you tell us about the compositions that these teams have brought previously? We've been able to see these teams go for 6 weeks now, as I've said, so they've shown us quite a lot, right?
Yeah, we've seen a variety of different comps from both these teams. Odin's turned up in 2 different weeks, I think, and they brought, 3 or 4 different comps. They brought some heavy shield comps. They brought the one with the 3 Vargas. They brought a totally different one, a totally different look with 2 Lashaks and an Armageddon for control. So it's been a pretty mixed bag, and they could turn up with anything. And Platinum Sensitivity have been perhaps a little bit more restrained in what they've shown. They've brought 3 Vargas Kingslayer, and they brought a Minmatar Rush setup as well. So a little less variation on their side, but I mean, either of these teams could pull the rabbit out of the hat, as it were.
All right, and Brett, what can you tell us about the other? What do you think teams are going to be bringing today? Do you think they're going to be bringing the same things they brought last time, or are they going to be trying to innovate here?
Well, I definitely feel like this close to the tournament, it's an entire flip up whether you want to bring something a little bit more special that you want to save for the Alliance tournament, or whether you're going to bring a lot of the stuff we've brought previous weeks. Now, I haven't checked the bans, so I don't know if anything is cut off, but I'm really interested to see how people play around that, and whether someone's like, hey, I think I'm not going to do too great in the tournament, so we'll bring our best stuff here, show it off, show how good we are, and hopefully do better further on.
Yeah, well, we have the teams already in local here, so we should be getting down to this match shortly and be able to talk about the comps more seriously. But finally, Wingnut, before we get into this, what part of this match are you most excited to watch? Is there anything in particular you're looking forward to?
I'm just curious to see what comps shows up. That's all. This is obviously the finals, as you said. Such weird stuff can happen. People can either stick with what they know or try and counter what they think the other team's going to bring. it's going to be interesting to see where the mind games go there.
Brilliant. So before things kick off then, let's go for predictions. Who wants to take first shot at saying which way this is going to go?
I think Platinum Sensitivity have a very good chance here. They tend to do some interesting stuff, and they did well, I think, in the CS, I believe it was. So my bet's on them.
I think it's really hard to call. I mean, obviously, all these teams have shown great performances in the past couple of weeks, so every single match is going to be really difficult to call. I think I would go. Oh man, it's tough. I think I'm going to go Odin's call. I've been really impressed by the 2 weeks they showed up. They had really strong performances both weeks. Platinum Sensitivity, of course, are great though as well. So, it's tough.
I am going to go with Odin's Call because what we've seen of Platinum Sensitivity is they've done really well with Barghest Kingslayer, and I've just double checked. The Barghest is banned this week, so that gives a little bit of a bonus to Odin's.
Well, I'm going to go with Platinum Sensitivity just because I think that makes it 2-2.
Yeah.
So we're I'm feeling it. I'm rooting for for Team Japan here, but we will definitely see what they have, as I think they're landing in just a second here.
Yeah, as I said on Twitter, I'm also hoping that, well, at least I think that Platinum Sensitivity will take this one away. They went through an absolute gauntlet in week 5 to make it into the competition here today, beating winning all 3 games against other people in this tournament. But they haven't played Odin's Call yet. With the ships landing, though, let's get ready to hand over. One ship just landing now. Hopefully not at 100 kilometers as we've seen in a couple of other games previously. All right, that's everyone. So let's hand over to Brett and the Basilisk in the arena.
Hello, my name is Brett Thomas, and you're here in the arena. In red, we have Odin's Call. They have brought a Navy Scorpion, a double Sleipnir, a Scimitar for reps, triple Orthrus for that light tackle hazing, and then triple Skybreaker. Baza, what have Platinum Sensitivity brought?
Platinum Sensitivity have brought something very interesting here. They've brought triple combat battle cruisers with a Typhoon fleet issue. So this is a very damage-focused comp. They've got an Augurer as well, so they've got Tech 1 Logi, and then 3 Blackbirds, in fact. My eyes deceived me for a second there. 3 Blackbirds. So this ECM could be an absolute nightmare. So it's going to be up to these Orthruses to try and clear these Blackbirds off the field, because they're going to be an absolute menace if not.
Yeah, it's important thing to notice that both the Scorpion Navy issue and the Typhoon fleet issue are rapid heavy. We've got no games where people are bringing crews to this, so it's all about who can dump the most damage out as quickly as possible. Saying that, a Orthrus in Odin Call of Nuke Blast is being shot, but the Scimitar is keeping it alive, as you're seeing all the jams being spread everywhere.
Yeah, I think this match is really going to be. I mean, the performance of the Orthruses versus the Blackbirds is going to be so critical, because obviously the Orthruses are trying to prey on the Blackbirds and get rid of them. But the Navy Brutics and the Navy Harbingers are trying to prey on the Orthruses. And that Skybreaker of Nyx Witro goes down, so drone potential, rep drone potential probably significantly reduced by that, as that first Orthrus goes down in trade of Nuke Blast as well.
Yeah, you're seeing a lot of the stuff on Platinum Sensitivity just get completely alphaed. That is because those double Sleipnirs are both artillery Sleipnirs, so combined with the Rapid Heavy and the Arty on the Orthrus clips, they have a huge amount of front-loaded damage.
Yeah, they certainly do against this small stuff, as we see this Pontifex taking chunks, and the Blackbird now as well of Nightcap going into armor as well. But I suppose that means they're probably going to have lower sustained damage against these Brutixes, Harbinger, and Typhoon. So perhaps choosing to deal with the support wing first. But this second Orthrus of Yokan is going into hull now. These battle cruisers are absolutely munching through him, and he goes down.
Yeah, it looked like the Scimitar. It looked like one of the Blackbirds managed to land a jam on the Scimitar because I wasn't seeing any effects go out. So it looks like those Blackbirds are starting to turn the match in the favour.
Yeah, there's a real critical mass of Blackbirds here, and they seem to have gotten above it. They've brought the 3 Blackbirds, and this kind of comp, once you start to win the match, it just becomes absolutely overwhelming. And we can see these 3 Orthruses are now all down. 1 Blackbird traded, but these 2 remaining Blackbirds are just spreading jams over so much. I mean, so much more than they were at the start of the match with the 3 Orthruses gone. I mean, the Scimitar just perma-jammed here.
And the Scimitar is being shot. They managed to get the Rapid Heavies combined with the Brutix Rails. Also, the reason you're not seeing these Blackbirds get alphaed as much as we'd like is because the Blackbirds are fit with ABs, so they're mitigating all the tracking that these Arty Sleipnirs have, which is a real problem. We're only seeing Blackbirds go down once they get webbed.
It's a really good call. That's a good spot, Brett. I hadn't noticed that. Yeah, these Blackbirds are tanking way longer than any team would like to would like them to. When you're facing up against blackbirds, everyone says, well, you got to kill those things. Everyone knows they're super annoying if you leave them alive, and they have stayed alive. And this scimitar now, he's pulled range, he's managed to get repped up, but he's still being painted, and he's still, I think, taking shots from these battle cruisers. He's trying to kite around and pull range, but the Typhoon probably not going to have too much issue.
Yeah, with the double Navy Brutix, they have the ability to load super long range ammo and just shoot as far as they can lock. So unless the Scimitar pulls completely out of range, the Scimitar is going to stay alive. You're seeing some of the smaller ships, like the Harb Navy and the Typhoon, which may not have as much range, shooting at one of the Sleipnirs, while one of the Brutix is just firing pot shots into that Scimitar to keep it away, which is an excellent use of their varying ranges of each of the ships to apply the most amount of DPS while keeping stuff away.
Yeah, it's really played by Platinum Sensitivity here. They forced the Scimitar off and said, well, he's over there. Let's kill this Sleipnir. And the first Sleipnir does go down. And these two Blackbirds are still just holding on. This Augur of FGI2 is doing absolute God's work here, keeping these two alive.
Yeah, you saw something really, really good there. One of the Sleipnirs went one way, the other Sleipnir went the other way. So once the short-range ships of Platinum Sensitivity got on top of them, once they killed them, they have to burn the entire length of the arena because these arty ships can shoot the length of the arena.
Yeah, and just as this match is really reaching its real critical point, just a reminder, this is a best-of-one bracket, except for the final. So after this match, if they lose, whichever team loses, if they lose, Odin's Call are out. They will not be in contention for an 80 prize frigate from this bracket.
Yeah,
it's looking pretty grim at the moment.
Gideon Senkenar in the Scimitar is doing so well at keeping himself alive. If you didn't spot, he used all of his boosts, just pulled out of range, and managed to reload before getting closer. So as all these ships are burning closer and are applied, he's got a second extra large Adsil clip going again. He has survived twice, maybe 3 times longer than he has any right to, and he's doing really well. If this match turns in its favor, it's going to be entirely in his hands. It's going to be all the work he has done.
He's doing a great job for sure, but he can't hold on that much longer. He's just about 20% hull now. He's about to go down 10%, 5%, 2%, and he finally goes down. So these long-range guns, long-range application of the Brutix navies and the Harbinger Navy just too much for him. I mean, the Blackbird is traded in return, but there's not much left. It's just the Sleipnir and the Scorpion Navy for damage. These 3 Skybreakers obviously not too much of a concern.
Yeah, it's a little bit too late to kill the Blackbirds because the Blackbirds are only jamming the larger ships like the Sleipnir and the Scorpion Navy now. It's entirely down to the Scorpion Navy, Sleipnir. If it manages to get out of range of these small ships, of these medium-sized like Brutix navies, it can survive, but it doesn't look like that as it drops into hull. These ships are just cutting it off. It's entirely down to a Scorpion Navy, which has rapid heavy, which probably won't alpha through things.
Yeah, so like I said at the start of the match, I think it was really critical about how the Orthreses would be able to deal with the Blackbirds, and as it turned out, they weren't. I mean, this third Blackbird's still alive, and in fact holding under the reps now of the Augur. But if those 3 Blackbirds if those 3 Orthreses had managed to kill those Blackbirds off, this would have gone totally differently. The Orthreses, so much value in this format for 8 points with their speed, their projection, their damage, etc. But the Blackbirds sort of neutering the rest of their team and providing a little bit of time for these battle cruisers to kill off the Orthreses, and after that, the ECM pile up is just too strong.
Yeah, Platinum Sensitivity did the really smart thing here because with it being heavy missiles on the Navy Scorpion and arty on the Sleipnirs, the only thing that could reliably hit the Blackbirds were the Orthreses, like you said. So they immediately went, that's our only weakness on that opposing team is those Orthreses, let's kill them. So once all the Orthreses went down, you saw the Blackbirds survive, and they made the right call to shoot the only targeting system that could fire.
Yeah,
the only targeting system that could hit reliably.
Yeah, it's a smart call by Platinum Sensitivity, and also just a smart composition wise as well. I mean, I don't think this is a look we saw from them before. Like you said before the match, we saw Barguests, but this with the Tech 1 Logi, 3 battle cruisers and a Typhoon fleet, this is something totally different that I don't think we've seen from them before, and it's put them in good stead. They've won this first match. Congratulations.
Yeah, and with the final Skybreaker getting cleared up, it looks like once it goes down, we'll pass it back to the studio. It's a really good find from Platinum Sensitivity, especially at the very start, with the triple Blackbirds being AB, they burnt straight in, so the Blackbirds had time to pull range. And with that, we'll pass it back to the studio.
Pew, 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 pew. Pew, pew, pew.
So the plan is that we execute a star formation with perfect 90-degree angles. You need to heat 2 cycles, not 3, 2. Spipple's web, but the
Jesus. No,
Spipple's
chill out.
web. And we need do we need missiles or is that Spipple's? And we need thermal drone.
HiSec Buyback offers 90% JITA anywhere in HiSec. Simply go to hisec.evebuyback.com, appraise your items, create a contract, and get paid quickly.
Welcome back, everyone. What a match there. That was some insanely disgusting stuff from Platinum Sensitivity, especially given that, as we mentioned earlier, they are a Japanese team. So they are playing right now at 4 a.m. local time. What happened there, VBP? Take me through that match.
Well, first off, let's be real. At 4 a.m. local time, that's like noon gamer time, right? I'm just saying. Just putting that out there. But yeah, that was really interesting. I think that Platinum Sensitivity brought 3 Blackbirds, which we've talked about ECM for a decade now of Alliance tournaments, but the way that they played that, what we saw is that they were cross jamming. Like if you notice, all the Blackbirds were taking damage at the same time. They were making sure to not all focus jams on the same target. So that made sure that there was never the ability for Odin's Call to focus all their damage. And then on top of that, I think that, and I hate to say this because I love seeing Artillery Sleipnirs, but I think Artillery Sleipnirs was just completely the wrong way to go here. Like maybe if they had autocannon Sleipnirs and just pushed in, they might have actually done something there. If you saw, Platinum Sensitivity had a single tackle Skybreaker, which died instantly. So yeah, I'm not sure. I think I liked it. I think Platinum Sensitivity did a great job. ECM's cool, but I think Brett wanted to talk about the ECM some too. He was like, "Yeah, somebody mentioned this. Someone mentioned this." So Brett, mention it.
One of the really you kind of brought it up there. All of the Blackbirds made sure that they did what other teams haven't done when we've seen them bring Blackbirds or bring Widows. Is any of the ones that were getting shot stopped jamming the stuff that was shooting him and swapped all jams to the scimitar, so that if any of the other Blackbirds jammed, all of a sudden they can't shoot. Because you see a lot of people, they get jammed, they panic, and they leave their jams on. We saw these Blackbirds realize that, drop everything, and it shows that they are practiced Blackbird pilots. They are people who, instead of just being sat in a ship and go fly a Blackbird, and you think, great, okay, I'm flying a Blackbird and I'm doing my job. These are people who've sat there and went, okay, how do I fly a Blackbird in a tournament setting, which is very, very different to flying it in this type of situation where dropping jams, not jamming, may be the best thing in certain situations.
All right, and BBP, something else that was really interesting there is that Platinum Sensitivity chose to skimp on the points in order to bring those Blackbirds by bringing a T1 Logistics. What are the trade-offs with bringing a T1 Logistics in a composition like this?
It was something else I was kind of looking at when I saw it. So the Augur is headshotable in theory, but the 3 Blackbirds kind of protect it. I don't know. I kind of think that Odin's, the way that they should have played that, and obviously it's easy to say in hindsight while we're sitting here not having to have the stress of a match and all that stuff, but they had 3 Orthruses, a rapid heavy missile launcher, Scorpion Navy issue, and 2 Sleipnirs. Realistically, there's a very low chance that you actually jam all 6 of those DPS ships. I think that they probably could have headshot that Augur Navy issue, because, or not Augur Navy issue, regular Augur, just because it's a T1 Logistics. If it was a Guardian or an Oneros, they can probably tank long enough for jams to work. But the Augur, it was a big gamble on Platinum Sensitivity's part, but I think that they were aware that it's like, well, hey, we have 3 Blackbirds, so yeah, we could get taken down, but at the end of the day, hopefully our jams land, and if not, well, that really, really sucks. Jams are RNG, and it can be RNG on both sides.
I was going to say as well, it was a good call from Platinum to take out the squishiest DPS ships first, get rid of those Orthruses, that way you can focus your jams on the last ships that were left there. So they went heavy on the jams and made the best use of it. And I think if they tried to go for the Augurer, the Blackbirds could like try splitting their jams, breaking up DPS, or just continue what they were doing, focus the small ships, and then start working up. So I feel like going for the Aug is going to be a hard. That's pushing a rock uphill at that point with ECM against you.
Yeah, thank you so much as well, by the way, for the raid from CCP, and welcome to all our new viewers. This is a tournament setting way to play EVE Online. Right now, we are finishing up a tournament that's been running now for 7 weeks. We have the best teams in that tournament here fighting it out in a series of best of ones to qualify for a best of 3, where they will be given a 1 of 51 kind frigate if they are able to possibly take home the trophy. So a lot of exciting things here. And thank you as well to Radikos for all of those subs. Remember, if you've got Amazon Prime, give us those Bezos bucks so that we can continue producing great content like this for you guys. Anyway, up next, we have another really interesting match, and, partially decided by the fact that there's no seeding in this bracket. We go from 2 teams with really exceptional records to the 2 teams with the worst records that actually qualified for this event. Test Alliance, Please Ignore, and Literally Triggered, with Test Alliance having gone 4 wins and 6 losses, and Literally Triggered having gone 6 wins to 6 losses. Blackbot Pirate, what can you tell me about these teams?
Test Alliance, Please Ignore is, well, let's be real. It's we're trying our best to not turn them into a punching bag, because that is what the rest of the game does. But they've actually been flying some really cool and interesting stuff, especially I think 2 weekends ago when they did their like remote cap transfer self-tank golem fleet and beat a bunch of people. They have consistently not been able to field 10 people, and they've been doing their best with that. But yeah, like I said, it's the golem setup that they were running was actually super interesting. I think it was probably one of the more interesting setups we've seen this entire sort of mini tournament. So, maybe they're having trouble finding pilots, but they're definitely theory crafting around that and doing a really good job of it. Literally Triggered, on the other hand, they've been flying some really weird Typhoon and Tempest setups, which has been pretty cool. I haven't really seen anything particularly unique about their stuff, but they've managed to get a lot of games in, which is why they're here. Because I think the point breakdown is if you played any games, or if you even won one game, you got a couple points. And we decided the people for this last one by how many overall match points you got. So Literally Triggered, having been in literally every single weekend, has got them into the finals. So good job for them. Sometimes you got to win just by showing up, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to make a request to call that golem comp the self-tank, because that just sounds funny as shit.
All right. Well, one of the interesting things, though, talking about the self-tank composition, is that it's usually got kind of a weird matchup against the 3 battleship armor control comps that you see coming out of Literally Triggered here. Can you give us some idea of how that matchup might play out, the Basilisk?
Well, I feel like it's possibly golem favored. That would be my sort of initial assumption, because these golem comps are sort of indexing fully into tank and damage. They don't care about your control. They don't care about webs. They don't care about, target, disruption, like weapon disruption, all that. They don't care. They're going to punch you, and they're happy to get punched in return. So all these mid slots you put in control and newts and stuff. I mean, if you've got cap boosters and cap transfers and stuff, it's all effectively. It might put a little bit of pressure on, but it's not going to be as effective as it would be against some other comps, in my opinion. So I'd say that's golem favored. What particularly interests me about this matchup is whether or not Literally Triggered are going to bring that same comp, because as you said, they've brought this kind of Tempest fleet issue, Guardian, armor control comp many times. They brought it, I think, probably, was it 10 of their 12 matches or something? They love it. They absolutely love it. And those were previous weeks where there wasn't a huge amount to play for. Sure, there was the glory of winning and, prestige, we beat these guys. But now there is something on the line. So I'm really interested to see if they're going to switch it up, if they're going to bring something different, actually now, bring something spicy out for now that they're playing for all the marbles, or if they will, again, revert back to this Tempest fleet issue comp.
Yeah, it is going to be really interesting to see what both teams bring out. They have so many options, and both teams have just been crazy. They are two teams that have brought the most number of different ships and different compositions to the field over the course of the past 6 weeks. Although part of that is possibly due to the fact that Literally Triggered have played in the most games of anyone, playing in a total of 12 total over the course of this tournament. And personally, that's what I think gives them the edge here. That is, experience is so valuable in the tournament. And whilst Test might have been playing in some of them, sometimes it was only with 2 or 3 people multi-boxing. And whilst it's impressive to be able to pull out W's under such conditions, one has to wonder how ready they are for a match with these sorts of stakes. Brett Thomas, who do you think's taking home the W here?
Well, I've put my channel points on Literally Triggered. I know if Literally Triggered go back and bring their usual kind of like kitey comp and Test Alliance go full ham into this Golem Tinker, it's going to be a massacre for Test. But I'm hoping that, seeing as Test isn't bringing a lot of pilots all the time, I'm gambling that they don't this time, and Literally Triggered do well, and the other one do well.
All right, Literally Triggered. Who do you think? Sorry, not Literally Triggered. The Basilisk. Who do you think's taking home the W here?
Well, in this match, Literally Triggered are kind of the known quantity, and Test are kind of the wild card. They seem to defy the rules of logic, where on-demand comps seem to get stronger under Test control. Are they going to reverse that? I don't know. They're crazy. I don't know. I dumped on them a little bit a couple weeks ago, but they put in a really valiant effort with, I think it was 8 pilots in one match and then 7 the next. But with everything on the line, maybe they will be able to muster up the full 10. Whether that'll make them stronger or weaker, I have no idea. But I'm a gambling man, so I'm going to go Test.
All right, Wingnut.
Test managed to pull off some interesting upsets. I didn't realize they were multi-boxing that. So if they get enough pilots together, they could really just do some crazy stuff. But even if they don't, I want to see like a 2 or 3 man like multi-box comp just come from behind and win again. I want to see Test get this. I've already put my vote on Test.
All right, and finally, BBP. Who do you think's winning here and facing off against Platinum Sensitivity in the next match?
Well, unfortunately, I am looking at all of the teams right now, and I want to say Test is going to win here, but once we get in, we'll talk about it just a little bit, because Literally Triggered may have figured out the counter to Test completely, 100%. So I'm just going to not even guess on that one. We're just going to throw it in the air, throw it to myself at some point in the near future.
Yeah, let's head over to the arena and hear what you have to say.
All right, so we do have Test Alliance Please Ignore versus Literally Triggered, and Test Alliance Please Ignore has made a horrible mistake and has somehow found 10 pilots, where Literally Triggered has figured out that maybe 7 pilots was actually the right choice the entire time. So Test is bringing 3 Typhoon Fleet issues, a Rook, a Magus, a Pontifex, 2 Deacons, and 2 Skybreakers. And Brett, what's Literally Triggered bringing?
Literally Triggered has brought 3 rapid heavy rattlesnakes, an Orthrus, 2 scalpels, and a hyena. So they have a huge amount of battleship DPS and not much else. So hopefully we're going to see them haze the Test fleet typhoons and then laugh at everything else.
Yeah, just for the viewers' information, the Rattlesnakes and Fleet Typhoons are all rapid heavy fit on both sides, so there will be lots and lots of damage for the first about 40 seconds here, and then they are going to hit that reload. So both teams are going to try and break straight through. Test's Rook is jamming the Orthrus and the Hyena. Not 100% sure on that call, but Test is destroying this Literally Triggered Orthrus, who's going down. Unfortunately, he's going down at about the same speed as the Typhoon Fleet issue of Aaron, which is never a good thing.
Yeah, the reason they're shooting the Orthrus is the Orthrus applying damage to the Deacon, and the Deacons are like trying to stay alive. Unfortunately, it's only 1 Orthrus, so it's never going to break a Deacon anyway. So they shouldn't be bothered to shooting it. They should shoot some of the large ships and go for the battleship trade. They're already a battleship down, and it looks like they're probably going to lose this.
Somehow you weren't able to break an Orthrus with 3 rapid heavy Typhoons, but they were able to blow up your Typhoon. That's pretty cool. The Hyena is going to go down, which, again, interesting pick. I don't think that's what I personally would go for, because it's not like they're going after your small ships and the Hyena is going to matter. But hey, you know what? UDU Test Alliance looks like some damage and target painters are going out on the Orthrus. Looks like Test is also going after potentially a Scalpel here, but I'm not really seeing these Rooks do that much. Like, these Rooks need to start jamming out the Rattlesnakes or something. Like, reduce the damage. Come on, guys, do something.
So it's interesting that Hyena went down completely to light drones. So it looks like something like the Magus, the Pontifex, and maybe Rook drones and maybe Typhoon drones killed it. It wasn't heavy missiles that killed that Hyena. But it looks like the Rattlesnakes are going for the Typhoon of Eddie Knight, and the 2 Typhoons are shooting the Rattlesnakes of Healer. And unfortunately, I don't know if people know this, 3 is higher than 2, and that Typhoon is going down much quicker than the Rattlesnake is.
Well, 3 is higher than 2, but 2 is higher than 1, as Test still has both of their Deacons up, where Literally Trigger just lost one of their Scalpels. That being said, I think that this is about to be a 3 is bigger than 1 situation. We are very, very good at counting here, and Eddie Knight is dropping into low structure. It's like barely holding on, but I don't think it's going to matter as he... Okay, well, he's still there, 1%, and he's gone.
A big thing to say is, Literally Triggered can lose the entirety of their low end and already be close to being up on points. Their entire low end is worth 25 points because they have 3 Rattlesnakes, which are worth 75 points in total and can tank what the rest of that team have. Because if you're talking about applicable damage, it's Magus drones, Magus Pontifex drones, and a single Skybreaker weapon that is never in a million years going to break a Rattlesnake if this final Typhoon goes down.
Oh, yeah, okay, hold on. You're just counting the Deacon drone? It could have 1 single light drone?
It has
very,
a
very
light
powerful.
rep drone because it gets a
All
bonus.
right. I thought Test had this great plan here for a DPS Logi, but it does look like Test is actually doing a little bit of damage to Gila Kashada's Rattlesnake. I don't know if they're going to be able to take it down. The Rook is now finally getting targeted, which probably means the jams were successful. But Literally Triggered, the Rattlesnakes are so obnoxious to deal with, Rook dropping almost instantly, just because these Rattlesnakes are using heavy drones, and that is a significant amount of the damage. You can't really jam it out, and even if they hit reload, they're still applying 600-700 DPS, which, I don't know, Rattlesnake's pretty good ship. It seems to be working pretty well against these Typhoons.
Yeah, Rattlesnakes are the king of battleship versus battleship fights, because unless you're picking something like a Vindicator, which has close range damage, in terms of these shield missile types of ships, the Rattlesnake has heavy drone bonus for damage. It has a huge amount of damage it can do for heavy drones. It has Caldari bonuses to battleship resistance, so it has a 20% shield resist, so it's tankier, and it has a flat missile bonus. So in terms of these rapid heavies, it doesn't, like a normal Typhoon, which has a rate of fire bonus, it doesn't go through its clip faster. It just has a flat damage bonus and can outlast you with its clip. So in terms of shield battleships versus shield battleships, the Rattlesnake reigns supreme, which is why the Rattlesnake is 25 points compared to the 21 points of the Fleet Typhoon. Those bonuses are that powerful.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. Like, maybe if they had gone after a Rattlesnake right off the bat, because it did look like they were breaking through them pretty easily there. Maybe a little bit of better usage of the Rook, a little bit of better damage setting, not going after that Hyena with all their light drones, like, because they have full set of light drones on that Rattlesnake, and it's kind of still taking a little bit of damage here. But I don't know, like, there's a chance, man.
You also saw how quickly the light drones of the Magus and the Pontifex broke through those 2 Scalpels. So if they'd have focused on the Scalpels and the Fleet Typhoons would have shot the Rattlesnakes, if the Rook had managed to land a lucky jab on, say, one of the Rattlesnakes and stop them applying damage to the Fleet Typhoon, Test Alliance, please ignore, could have won this. They could have mitigated enough damage that they would have traded faster. And hey, maybe there's one Rattlesnake left and you in structure and you lose your last Typhoon. But at that point, your better low end carries the game out.
Well, and look how hard it is for Literally Triggered to actually kill anything at this point. I mean, it's like, oh yeah, three Rattlesnakes in Northwest, but they're, obviously they're breaking through things, but they're not doing it particularly quickly. It's, they had an opportunity here, I think, tested, and I'm sure we'll totally talk about it in a positive and non-punching bag way up in the near future as this match is winding to a close. But I don't know, like, it's It's
Yeah,
unfortunate. We really haven't seen Fleet Typhoons being that good either recently, so
we
maybe that was another problem.
we have seen them be good in a kitey situation where the fleet typhoons are fleeing, abusing the fact that they're a little bit faster than other shield battleships. Unfortunately, they were against rattlesnakes, which have like about the same range, and they couldn't have really done anything because drones would have chased them down. Maybe if they pulled the ships out of range of the rattlesnake, the one that was getting shot, they could have been useful for this. And I'm really upset that we see Test Alliance bring a full 10 people and then go against someone who thinks, oh, literally triggered, looks at Test's previous matches and go, oh, they tend to favor a lot of battleships. Test in their previous matches have just brought battleship heavy comps. Why don't we bring the shield version of a Vindicator rush? We just bring 3 battleships that do a lot of damage and dumpster their battleships, since Test don't seem to be bringing smaller stuff. And unfortunately, literally triggered just like outplayed them in the meta sense of they knew what ships they knew what ships Test would bring, and they pre-picked to fight that. That being said, we've just saw Soldarius hit the micro jump beacon and jump out to 211, which is not the record for the maximum distance, but is a fairly decent distance.
Yeah, it's not bad. 215 according to General Stargazer, and he is in charge of everything and the end-all be-all authority on stuff. I don't think Malcolm is going to be able to get to a MJD beacon before he goes down, and he does drop, so literally triggered wins 99 points to, or 100 points to 17, and proves that the ultimate counter is to bring undermanned setups versus Test Alliance, and I think we're going to send it back to ourselves here in just a little bit.
I like turtles.
Deliverance.
It's only Nighthawk. Why you have to be mad?
Don't check your streams, ladies and gentlemen. That was the correct teams on the correct sides, and some incredible piloting there from both sides. Wingnut, can you tell me a little bit about why you would ever bring an undermanned team like that? What are the advantages of bringing 7 people?
Well, traditionally, it's always because you don't have the pilots. So, like, okay, we'll make do with what we got. But I've, like, in the background between a few me and my mates, I've been theory crafting the idea of going super top heavy on an undermanned comp. And as you see there, if you bring less people, you can bring 3 rattlesnakes. Or you can bring stuff like, 4 golems, and you can go really heavy on the damage. And the good thing about rattlesnakes, they're uniquely good for this role. Resist profile, drone damage, missile damage. They are a brutal ship to fight. And if you can field 3, you effectively control most of the arena if you fit crews. And if you fit rapid heavies, same situation. So I'm just so proud to see an undermanned comp twice work really, really well. So, and also it is just great and delicious that Test's signature comp in this tournament has just been obliterated by the same thing effectively. Underman beats the guys who are using undermans.
Yeah, Basilisk, can you tell me a little bit about, the mental fortitude that it takes to bring your opponent's kind of signature style and play it against them as well? That must be nerve-wracking as a captain, because they must know everything about how to fly it, right?
Honestly, that is, I don't know if that's the biggest 5-head play I've ever seen in Alliance tournament, tournament-related play. That was, wow. Just to see Test repeatedly week after week bring undermanned comps and then bring your own version of it with the rattlesnakes. Firstly, I mean it's got to be tough, because assuming that Literally Triggered do have 10 people, then 3 people obviously didn't had to sit out, so it's tough to sort of have that palatable for the team. But I mean, if you think it's the best option to get a win, then by all means go for it. And I'd hope the 3 people who set out were in support of that. But yeah, it takes some serious balls to do that, honestly, to say, well, these guys are bringing 3 golems. They keep bringing undermanned comps week in, week out. And literally Triggered, of course, on the other side, have been very, very predictable as well with their Tempest fleets. So to completely flip the script and bring their own undermanned comp, brilliant. I love it.
I think it's I really like the idea of someone getting really, really mad at test flying bad undermanned comps and going, screw it, we'll show them how to fly an undermanned comp, and beating them with it.
Oh yeah, like just being able to, like, those 3 pilots who missed out, I bet you they're just like, I don't care. We got to poke tests with their own stuff. That was so good.
Yeah, Black Belt Pirate, what do you think we can expect something more like this in the future from Literally Triggered? Do you think they're going to continue to try and style on people?
No, I think that was a. I think it was like what Brett said, where they picked, same with Wingnut, where it's like, I think Literally Triggered went into that thinking Test was not going to be able to have a 10-man setup. And they were like, okay, what's the best way for us to kill an enemy battleship setup that'll be just totally safe and there's not really anything they can do about it? And then Test did have 10 people, but they didn't really have them, like, it worked out, I guess is what I'm saying. I'm Literally Triggered. I think that they set that up to beat like the Golem setup. I'm pretty sure it probably has enough DPS to break through it, but Test didn't bring what Literally Triggered expected, and then it didn't matter. So I guess it works out. But we've seen Literally Triggered fly a lot of like actual 10-man setups. So unless for some reason on the day where all the marbles are, where if you win you get an AT ship, they only had 6 people show up or 7 people, which I hope that's not true for their sake. I think that was a one-off.
Yeah, my only disappointment personally is that now we have been robbed of the possible Test Alliance Please Ignore the Minions rematch to repeat the drama that we saw in the Feeders Bracket with them coming out of nowhere and upsetting what was previously an established Alliance tournament team. Still, let's move on to the next match, because that match went on for so long that we have this match coming up in only 5 minutes. So, Forsaken Empire versus Deepwater Hooligans. Who wants to talk about one of these teams? Black Belt Pirate? Oh, sorry.
I was like, awkward. Deepwater Hooligans. I'll talk about them because I have friends in there, so I like them. They're very, very strong, powerful. They kind of live out and do sort of small gangy stuff, but not in the way that a lot of people do nowadays, where they do it out of wormholes and fake wormholes like Thera. They kind of live out in sort of the general north/drone lands of Eve. They've been doing really, really well in their matches so far. I think that they're one of the teams that only played like 6 or 7 total and were able to get into the finals here. So I don't know. I've liked what I've seen. They've flown some kind of weird stuff too, which is always fun. Whereas Forsaken Empire is, I believe that they're a NPC fountain group, and they've also been doing some pretty cool stuff too. I think they did were they the ones that beat, was it Volta, where they beat them by just bringing a no logi Abaddon rush and just like completely clean them out on round 1? Or I know they beat somebody who was like supposed to be a top tier team by just no logi Abaddon rushing them.
Yeah, Forsaken Empire actually beat Platinum 2-0 using the Abaddon no logi aggro composition.
Nice. Well, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been keeping a bit of a close eye on Forsaken Empire because they're in our bracket, and I was sort of hoping there'd be a little bit of a pushover. We win our first match, we go against Forsaken Empire, maybe we get an easy route in the upper bracket. But the results so far have clearly shown that Forsaken Empire are the furthest thing from a pushover that they could be. They've brought a wide variety of comps. You've mentioned they brought the no logi comps. They brought a few varieties of that. They brought drone comp. They brought a golem and a scorpion no logi comp. They brought an Abaddon no logi comps. They seem to like those comps without logistics again. They could flip the script and bring something different this time though.
Yeah, I've got to say, I know where my channel points are going. They're definitely with Forsaken Empire, because Deepwater, for everything that we've said good about them so far, they are the only team in this competition without a win against another team that's playing today in their tournament history.
Yeah, my channel points are on Forsaken Empire right now too. I've slapped a nice, beautiful 10k on there just to really weight the scales, you know.
What about you, BBP? Where do you think this matchup's going? You got any predictions about the comps as well?
Not really. I think both teams have brought kind of weird armor stuff or Abaddons. But I want to go for. I'm going with my heart. My heart's definitely with Deepwater Hooligans. You know, regardless of how it turns out, though, I think both these teams could easily take it. And I guess for a quick thing, we have a bunch of new people in this. So this is I think it's the sort of finals of our weekend open practice series that we've been doing for the last 6 weeks. It is 8 teams. It's a series of best of ones. The winner is a best of 3, and whoever wins gets an Alliance Tournament prize ship, which we don't quite know what they're called yet, or we're guessing it's going to look like a Garmer, I think, and be like a Garmer. So vast and overpowered. Yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. I think the teams are landing though, which is also super cool stuff.
Yeah, it's only going to be a couple of seconds here. So, Basilisk, who are your predictions here?
I think Forsaken Empire might struggle. I know they've brought a bunch of drone comps in the past, but with the Ishtar being banned this week, may sort of hamper if they try to bring a drone comp, that's going to be, not conducive to them doing that. And Deepwater Hooligans have impressed me as well. Yeah, I think I'll go Hooligans.
All right, so with that, let's hand over to the arena with Wingnut and Basilisk and watch this match play out.
Hey guys, welcome to the arena. Here, as we've previously just discussed, we've got Forsaken Empire in red with triple Nighthawk, double Gila, an Orthrus, 2 Kirins, a Hyena, and a Skybreaker. So fairly sort of cookie cutter shield missile. Although we have seen Nighthawks sometimes struggle without Lokis, and the Loki is banned this week. So this could, it may be sort of a weakened Nighthawk comp, but they may also go heavy missiles.
Yeah, and also on the other side, we see Scorp Navy triple Sleipnir, triple Sipple, double Kirin. So we have 2 potentially DPS heavy comps, potentially 2 very big rush comps. But the one benefit for the Sleipnirs, of course, is they can turn around and just run away. They can use their distance from their projectiles to try and stay away from these Nighthawks and just buy a bit more time. But yeah, this Nighthawks have no support beyond a Hyena. If that Hyena gets popped for any reason, these Nighthawks are going to be left alone and are going to have a lot of trouble applying to targets.
Yeah, what I am a little bit concerned about is these 3 Spiffles, with the 2 healers and the Orthrus, both lurking, and the Hyena as well for application. Those Spiffles are probably, I would assume, are going to try and rush in and let their Sleipnirs do maximum damage. But with the two healers, the Orthrus and the Hyena, it's going to be very, very tricky to do that without dying in a fire. To put it one way,
you have to go one of 2 ways there. They either charge or run away. There's no option there. You have to pick
charging is definitely risky, but also running away means you don't really contribute that much at the given moment. So it's tough call to make. But they are in fact rushing in.
Leroy!
And the Hyena, of course, is saying, "Get these things out of here. Get these things off me." Yeah. And the first Triple Thomas Wildduck is getting absolutely chunked. And the Orthrus and Gilas are just saying, "Right, we'll deal with him. Hyena, quickly web and paint the second one. Let's deal with him."
I want to see what these Sleipnirs are doing now. They're also charging in? Yes, they are. Yep. Okay, the entire team's charging in. Looks like Skybreaker's going in. They are charging in,
but these Spiffles look too fast for their own good, as the second one is now webbed down, painted, and taking absolute chunks, and he goes down as well, Rich Thugster. So already just 1 Spiffle left. They're trying to spread jams. This Griffin is trying to spread jams across the 3 Nighthawks, but it doesn't seem to be enough. These Spiffles are still just absolutely melting regardless.
Yep, that's it. They did not manage to get the Hyena or anything else, so now they're dead, so that's their entire tackle wing gone. Now it's just going to be 3 Sleipnirs and a Scorp Navy versus the world.
Yeah, and of course that's a really dire situation to be in if these Sleipnirs want to be on top of you. The Nighthawks, assuming they are heavy missile fit without the Lokis, the Nighthawks have a little bit more range to play with. And with this Hyena, they can control range now. Forsaken Empire have absolute range control of this arena. With those Fipples dead, there is absolutely nothing that can really threaten the Hyena. So he can just park up wherever he wants, really. This Griffin now, you're annoying, go away. And he swiftly dies.
I'm just double checking. Are those heavy missile Nighthawks?
I would assume so. I mean, I haven't zoomed in and checked, but with the absence of the Loki, I think we saw Ham Nighthawks doing very, very poorly without the Loki for application. They just get kited. They've only got like 20 kilometers range maximum. So it ends up being quite restrictive when you come up against anything that's faster than you or has more projection. And this Sleipnir of Nick Baron now. Yeah, exactly. Your hyena is obviously a lot less. He's a lot weaker in terms of HP and survivability than a Loki. So having the hyena be your sort of single linchpin of application, if he dies, then you kind of lose. Is not a great position to be in. But this Sleipnir now, Nick Barron, is just taking absolute chunks. The Nighthawks are just flying around, firing missiles at him. They don't really care where they are. The other two Sleipnirs are on top of them, but
Yeah, they are.
I mean, they don't really seem able to break them particularly well. The Kirins are on the other side of the arena, though, so they may be able to get some damage in before these Kirins can get over here. But
That is the problem with
Nighthawks
fighting
pretty
Nighthawks,
tanky.
of course, is you have to pretty much fire kinetic, and these Slipneys can, of course, choose whatever ammo they please, and these Nighthawks are really tanky. So it kind of goes back and forth there. It's each one has their benefits. At the moment, that first Nighthawk is starting to struggle. The very good
Yeah,
resist can still be worn down.
I think they had aggro on something else, but these Kirins were over there repping someone up, but now this Nighthawk is needing reps, and he was 70 kilometers away. But the Kirins have finally arrived on the scene of the crime, and Windjackal he just goes down before these Kirins can get on there. If they maybe got over here 5 or 10 seconds sooner, they could have kept him up. But he does go down, but the Sleipnir of Akov is also going to go down, I think.
Oh, he got that low just as that Nighthawk died, and they're just holding at the moment. No, never mind. I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry.
Oh, I've been confused by the color of the Kirins. Apologies. Those were the blue Kirins over there. So they were struggling to get onto the Sleipnir. The red Kirins actually just coasting in front, cutting everything out and saying, "You're caught. Whatever. You're going to die, but we're still in a commanding position here." The Kirins obviously can't really burn back in, or they get caught, and then you've got even less reps if your Kirins are dead. So, Timok to 0, Telram. They were trying to keep one Sleipnir alive. Burned across the arena to try and save the other one, but ultimately ended up losing.
Timok's, look at the drones on him.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good.
I'm sorry, it's just hilarious. I see this massive drone cloud just chasing this Kirin. Don't forget, at least 2 of those are Gila boosted drones. All it takes is like 1 hit, and yeah, there you go. Exactly that.
Yeah, Gila's obviously insanely powerful. I think we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, but 11 points and these things offer everything you could want, because Orthruses for 8 points are very strong. You get these rapid light missiles, they absolutely shred frigate wings. But the thing with Gilas is, because let's say half or 2/3 of the damage, whatever, some of their damage is in drones, they aren't susceptible to clips, so they still apply really well. But they don't have to reload their drones, obviously. And obviously those drones also exceptionally strong in terms of hit points. So focusing the drones is tricky. And most importantly, perhaps, they get 5 sets of drones, I believe. So even killing them, even if you do kill off the Gila drones, if you have some magical weapon, super weapon that just destroys Gila drones, they've got 8 more. They don't really care. So killing Gila drones is futile, and they absolutely wreck you.
Exactly. I think they're actually, I can't remember if the Gilas actually increased price in this tournament as well, but there's a reason they get increased price. They are disgusting. Wait, Sleipnir's about to go down. Like, there's nothing they can do. They don't have the DPS anymore to break these Nighthawks. And now they've got a Scorp Navy on its own. And unfortunately, the part's name is not Dancool, so I don't think he can solo this. So this match is, unfortunately, I believe, is going to be over.
Yeah, and my caster curse continues. I think that's 3 for 3 now, where I've predicted the team who has gone to lose. So whoever is playing next, which is the Minions versus Volt, you better be quaking in your boots and hoping that I don't pick you to win, because it's not a good omen.
Wait, hold on. I just looked in chat. Did they actually do that, Brett? Did they actually shoot Kirin's rapid heavies? Please don't tell me they did. Oh my god. Okay, we'll talk about that one after this match. But yeah, Scorp Navy going down quick. There's nothing he can do. Still a lot of DPS on the field, though. So well done. They're keeping this comp alive.
Yeah, and they're showing that this Nighthawk comp isn't necessarily predicated on the presence of a Loki with the Loki band here. I think we've seen this kind of comp before a couple times with these heavy missile Nighthawks, and it's had varying degrees of success. But here, executed very well. Clearly, a very efficient comp still. Sort of still relying on the application of the hyena, but not totally predicated on its existence. And yeah, with that, they'll take the match.
Yep, went for an MJD. Good on him, mate. Oh, well, that was sent it back to the studio and see what they think.
We who have seen war will never stop seeing it. In the silence of the night, we will always hear the screams. So this is our story. Wolves amongst strangers.
Did you know that anything can happen in Eltric fleets?
I had a question time, but I couldn't jump. I'm jumping now.
Are you still shaving your balls? Jesus.
Wow, you must have some big balls, you.
Yeah, literally anything.
Welcome back to the desk, everyone. What an amazing match there. There was some really interesting choices, but the one that I found most interesting was the decision to go with a kind of a distributed, almost the opposite of that second man to comp, points distribution amongst the team for Forsaken Empire. Brett Thomas, what can you tell us about the advantages and disadvantages of bringing, say, a command ship as your, big top end of a composition?
What that allows you to do is it allows you to keep your links alive until the last moment. Because the big thing about the command ships is, yes, they do supply links. They supply links at slightly longer range. They also stay alive. All of the command ships are super, super tanky. Like the Nighthawk is tankier than most of the battle cruisers. Like a Astarte or an Absolution are both brick tanked respectively. So what you can do is you can bring consistent DPS that people have to chew through. Unlike, say, let's say you bring a Oracle, that does a lot of DPS, but has like kind of paper thin for a battlecruiser. If you bring like a Brutix Navy, that's relatively like lighter tank. It does apply a bit more DPS, but bringing something like Triple Nighthawk or Triple Sleipnir allows you to get that like sweet spot between still applying a lot of damage and being low points and still applying links. It means you don't have to bring your low end dedicated to command ships. So you can, as an example, in this match that we just saw, bring triple Swiftles. And as we saw with the Nighthawk triple Loki comp, the Swiftle is excellent at just pulling back a little bit, waiting, and then the moment everybody's engaged, deleting scalpels or deleting Kirans. If they fly in like a little trio, they can wolf pack on one of them, wipe one out, and then move on to the next one. Because once everybody's engaged, they can't do what happened in that match and focus each of the Swiftles down. If the Swiftles like pull away, keep to themselves, go after like wait until all the Sleipnirs are in, they can kill the two Kirans, then kill the hyena, and then apply their DPS. They're just a little bit too light in the low end, but that is what you're allowed to do if you bring these command ships. You're not stuck bringing your command destroyers, because if you look, the destroyer shot is always filled up with, if it's not command destroyers, Swiftles or Jackdaws, because they're both extremely good in that destroyer role.
Yeah, and Bazzy, you said that this was kind of a match that could have gone completely differently if people had played it another way. How would you have played this differently, do you think, if you wanted to try and have a different result come out of it?
I think these Swiftles were, to put it one way, just too quick on the scene. They were so eager to get in there and tackle things down that they didn't really consider whether or not they could do that for an extended period. And of course, against 3 Nighthawks, 2 Gilas, and an Ulthrus, there's a lot of damage coming in. And with the Hyena as well to amplify that, you arrive on the scene and the Hyena says, "You're dead, you're dead, you're dead," and everyone just fires missiles at the Hyena's primary. And the Sleipnirs are just sort of saying, "Yo, hold up, we're not actually able to shoot anything yet. Can you slow down a little bit?" And the Swiftles are already gone. So yeah, I think those Swiftles needed to hold fire a little bit, like Brett was saying. Wait for the Sleipnirs to make some aggressive plays, sort of get the action going. Because if you make it difficult for your opponent, and you've got lots of things going on, you've got Sleipnirs coming in, the Logi's trying to, mitigate damage on everyone. They're trying to rep from the Navy Scorpion over that he's shooting. They're trying to deal with jams and whatnot. It becomes a lot more difficult. Whereas if you just serve up Swiftles on a platter, 12 points, here we go, deal with these guys first. There's nothing else going on at the time being, so everyone's free to shoot them. Then it becomes a lot easier to deal with it, just sort of sequentially. So they need to sort of coordinate their approach a little bit better.
Something I would have liked to see happen is the triple Sleipnirs bent in and only applied damage after one of the Sleipnirs was already dead. I would have liked to see one of the Sleipnirs go through all its XLASB and go, okay, I am going to break and I'm not going to get to them in time. I am better served just breaking off and pulling away. Maybe I drop into structure and the missiles die before they hit me and break me. I can boost back up and get back in this fight and stay in it. Unfortunately, the Sleipnirs went all in. They dived and said, I'm going to tackle or I'm going to die, which is sometimes not the best situation if you're being kited. Sometimes pulling away, getting yourself back up and getting back into the end of a fight is much better.
That whole comp was rush. The whole thing was rush. And unfortunately, they rushed their rush too fast with those Fipples.
Yeah, there's some really interesting choices of weapon systems as well with heavy missiles there, Black Pipe Pirate. Do you want to go over a little bit about the other way you can fit them, the heavy assault missile Nighthawks that we so often see? Why do you think they didn't go for that in this case?
I think that, we talked about it a little bit during the match, but the without the Lokis, that heavy assault missile Nighthawk has a little bit of trouble getting on top of the target. So, a heavy assault missile Nighthawk is probably one of the highest DPS ships, like in the Alliance tournament. It beats most battleships. I think we were kind of talking about it in between. That's like, well, why do we see so many command ships versus battleships? It's like, well, command ships do the same DPS, but even with heavy missiles, like the Nighthawk, I want to say you can do like 900 DPS out of them, probably more, but from super, super long range. So I think that without a Loki, having a kiting Nighthawk setup that still does, close to battleship DPS is just really, really smart on their part. And, also we had the Helas. Like, we didn't really talk too much about those, but that's like 1,000 DPS that applies to every single ship on grid. Medium drones apply crazy well. Rapid lights apply crazy well. Everybody knows that one. So, they just got out comped. It sucks. It happens. I asked one of the big AB members, I was like, oh, what was your guys' warp in? Cause I didn't pay quite enough attention, but they warped 20 km in. So that's an extra 20 kilometers that you have to charge after the guys to get into range. And maybe if they had warped at 0, it might've worked. Maybe not. I have no idea. It was just rough. I mean, they got countered. Yeah, it is a big. It's like, well, if you warp at 0 and they're like, well, we brought a Battens, then you cry and feed.
Double Vindy. Oh god.
Yeah. Well, any of the battleship anti-rush setups, which we'll probably see at least once this during the rest of this. So I don't know. Heavy missile Nighthawks are really strong, though. There's one of the reasons why you ban Nighthawks is so you don't have to fight heavy missile Nighthawks. It's not just so you don't have to fight ham Nighthawks.
So a heavy missile instead of ham missile does 700 DPS, 650 DPS kin locked. So it is often, we're going to see a lot in this tournament, people kin shielding their ships a lot more because Nighthawks in this Nighthawk Rush comp are so strong.
All right. Well, with all that said, I think we need to move on to the next match, though, because this is one of the most exciting matchups that I think we have to start off this best of ones, and it is the Minions going up against We Form Volta. The Minions have the best record of any team in this whole tournament, having gone 8 wins to 2 losses, and they're going up against We Form Volta, who have the fewest games played in the tournament, with their last one actually being a loss to the Minions. So this is a chance for We Form Volta to potentially have a revenge game, and there's so much more on the line too, because both of these alliances are at least historically associated with Thera, one specific system. BBP, tell me a little bit about what it's like when you go up against a team that you know really, really well, not just in a tournament setting, but in a TQ setting as well.
Well, I feel that, I think we've seen some. I don't want to say that I think they're practicing with each other a decent amount, but I think we've seen some similar stuff out of them. I would expect that if they are practicing with each other, which, I'm sure somebody in Twitch is going to be like, oh, we don't practice with them at all, so I don't know what you're talking about. But I think that they're likely to kind of know their pilots, know who's good, who's bad, and that can be a really huge thing. Like, these guys do fly together or fly against each other sometimes, and if you can say like, hey, I know this specific pilot kind of chokes in white knuckles, that's the trick. Just Just pick that guy and alpha him and make him fail. I'm just saying that's a totally viable strat. If you know other teams, if you know the other team's team members, you know somebody who kind of sucks, just go after him.
Or maybe don't go after him if he sucks. Kill the people who are worth killing, and then
no, go after the guy that sucks, because then you can make fun of him. Then you can link his kill mail every single time you ever are on local with that person. Be like, oh hey, remember when I killed you like a year and a half ago in an alliance tournament? Which you can't really do here, but yeah.
It sounds like you're speaking from personal experience there.
Yeah,
would you like
maybe.
to share the identity of your victim?
Or
no, let's just say I've killed a lot of Atanas in my time, so.
All right.
I
Well,
think I have like 6 or 7 of them.
The teams are starting to land on grid here, guys. So let's get the predictions in. Personally, I'm going for the minions. I think they're going to take this one, but I reckon it's going to be close. What about you, BBP?
I want to see the minions win. Not necessarily because I want to see Volta lose, but maybe there's a little bit of me wanting to see Volta lose, and Ithaca's not here, so I can say that.
Wingnut, who are you going for?
Minions, absolutely, all the way. They're the ones I've been kind of interested to see. I don't even know what comp they're bringing. I don't know what they got. My bet's on minions.
I am very excited for this match, and I am going to go for. I'm going to go for the minions just because of what they've brought to the field, just for having titanium massive balls for bringing what ship they brought. Holy cow, I'm excited.
Finally, then the Basilisk. You're the decider here. Who's going to win?
Well, I think I'm in the minority no matter what, because I love the minions. They've been great. As you said, they've got a fantastic record of 8-2, and they've won well. But Volta, they turned up week 1. They slapped everyone about a little bit. They won the entire thing, and then they just sort of pieced out and didn't come back at all. They came back one time, I think, in week 3, but other than that, they said, well, our job's here is done. We've shown everyone that we're the boss, so we can just chill out for a bit. And yeah, I think there's sort of an all-star lineup here of names. Obviously, they got Reload and the Scimitar, always Logi God, among others. White Orchid, CSM applicant, TikTok. They got a bunch of big names, so I'm going to go Volta.
He's gone. We lost him.
In. I can't hear
That's
you,
okay.
buddy.
You know what? I will totally do this. We're going to throw it to the arena right now. He's back. Jin's back.
All right, guys. This is a really interesting match because I can't quite tell. What is this composition that we're seeing here from Volta, BBP?
I want to say that I think it's pretty similar to the kite setup that we actually just saw from Forsaken Empire, because these are heavy missile launcher Nighthawks. These are, they're Gilas, so they're pretty good. They're actually they're light missile launcher Gilas, which is kind of interesting. So there might be a kind of weird, super tanky fit on them. And then we have light missile jackdaws, a vigil, and a scimitar. So I'm guessing that Volta's plan here is to kite away as fast as possible. I'm not really sure how well that's going to work, though, because the claymores on the minion side are also heavy missile launcher fit. The Gilas are also still Gilas, and we have jackdaws, but we have a nightmare, which is really, really weird.
Yeah, it's a ship that always looks great on paper, but it's been so back and forth. People seem to have great difficulty putting those great Python numbers into effect. It has amazing range, amazing tracking, and that AB bonus means that it's really hard to tackle down. And that's going to benefit them here because it means those jackdaws aren't going to be able to control its positioning quite as much. That's hopefully going to allow it to get on top of these Nighthawks, or if these Nighthawks are hams, it's going to allow him to pull away. We're just going to have to see what happens here, though, as the match has finally begun. The tackle there is going across. You can see Skybreakers just poking in. It's not quite as aggressive as maybe we thought that it would be. Just drones getting deployed, teams burning into position here. Where do you think the team's going to strike first?
Well, it looks like the minions is going after the Nighthawk with their Nightmare, which makes sense tracking-wise, but I think Volta has a bunch of tracking disruptors and guidance disruptors on their jackdaws, which that might be the thing that really turns us here, because if you're tracking disrupting down a Nightmare or Claymores, their damage application is going to really, really suck here, but not a huge amount of damage going out on either side. A little bit of poking going on each side's tackle here, but nothing really that big. We're seeing these logistics cruisers and frigates having no issue keeping people alive so far.
Yeah, it's really interesting. These tracking disruptors and guidance disruptors though aren't going to be able to stop those healers from applying. So these jackdaws are going to need to be very, very careful with their positioning. If they get caught out by just that skybreaker or anything like that, and those healer drones can get on top of them, that is so much damage, and those scalpels are not going to be able to rep through it. We can see damage here. They're going finally onto Ankaras, and whilst it is getting repped up, this is the first real bit of pressure, and it's allowed Merlinwer to take DPS as well.
Yeah, Merlin is completely surrounded by Helidrones right now and probably getting just destroyed by these light missiles. Barely holding on. He's kind of bouncing back up and forward, HP going up, HP going down. Starting to bleed armor a little bit. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to tank because all these Helidrones are applying so well here, but a little bit of damage on Control Freak as well. I don't know. Like, Minions needs to just be applying more DPS. They need to get that Nightmare into position and just start, doing massive conflag damage or something to this Gila. But Merlin War seems to be stabilizing, which is kind of impressive with the amount of DPS on him right now.
Yeah, this is some really incredible teamwork. You can see that they're all dropping new flights of medium shield bots, throwing them on them across the field, whilst Merlinwer is just burning as fast as he can, reducing as much DPS as possible, holding there in armor. And it looks like he might survive now as Blank. He has not been caught out, but he has got a newt on him, actually. This could be dangerous. The utility here of the Nightmare finally coming into play as he's been able to position himself quite deep in the backline there.
Yeah, the Nightmare's almost perfectly positioned, and it looks like it is applying Conflag right now, doing a lot of DPS to Urzblank. That being said, Volta has put some DPS on a Claymore. Again, not sure how good of an idea that is. Claymores are very, very tanky and have similar self-repping capability to a Sleipnir, though their fitting's a little bit, but Urzblank is dropping really fast now. This Nightmare maybe was a really good pick, because like you said, it drove straight through and is just applying huge amounts of DPS right now, and the healer does drop.
There it goes. They break him. And Karas is sitting in half shields. He's not even sweating. This is amazing stuff from the Minions. They're the kings of the best of one. And they might come through here with another victory. But there's still everything to play for. There's so much DPS left on the field here for Volta. You can see that their attack bars are about even. And wow, there is a scalpel gone immediately. All it took was one web and it was deleted.
Yeah, I think they swapped all the drones really quickly, and they just weren't ready for that. And the other scalpel drops immediately. It has actually got a Nighthawk sitting right on top of them, so both scalpels drop. But Gani Eddart's Nighthawk is dropping really, really fast as well. So, trading 2 Logi frigates for a Nighthawk and a Gila, maybe not the best idea. We'll see if Planet 6's Scimitar is able to keep him alive here, but there's so much damage being applied to him right now.
Yeah, they've got to watch the positioning though here. It's going to be really difficult now as the game starts to break down. These jackdaws are trying to burn around the edges, but the Minions, you can see they're holding center field, but it's not enough. A jackdaw goes down there for them. Without the scalpels, they've got no sustain. And Planet 6, reload in the Scimitar. He's staying alive. He's giving Gani Ardet just a little bit more life. Every second he stays longer on grid gives them a chance to come back into this match.
Yeah, I mean, he's fine. He's not having any issues, but there are Nightmare newts on him, and that seems to be doing some pretty serious work with preventing him from getting reps off. We do see a Jackdaw go down, but again, traded a Jackdaw for a Nightmare. Not the worst trade ever, and TikTok is just getting destroyed right now in his Gila. I'm not seeing, we're seeing some reps coming out from Planet 6, but I think this newt pressure is just really getting to him, because, look at this Gila. It's dropping so fast.
Yeah, there's no local reps on these things. There's just a couple of cycles. You can see one heated Scimitar rep lands and it's something. But that Nightmare is providing so much by not only giving DPS, but turning off the reps of their opponents. And Karas, he's in 3/4 shields. He's been sitting there and that health for so long. And TikTok disappears in about 20 seconds after getting called primary. This is great stuff from the Minions. They're just walking through Volta's game plan at this point.
Yeah, I really don't know where Volta's damage is right now. I think that they're going for Ankaras, but for whatever reason, Ankaras, like I said, Scimitars have pretty solid self-rep, or not Scimitars, Claymores have pretty solid self-rep, but apparently it's good enough to just tank all of the Volta damage, while Control Freak's heal is getting hit next, and we talk about Nightmares. We've seen them so much. This is the first time I've actually seen one do really good, and he's just having a great time, just flying around, AVing around, killing people, small gang PvPing, but in the tournament.
Yeah, you can see he's still running after Reload there, just pulling into him, even as almost forcing him into the back line there. He's sitting by Control Freak nearly at the edge of the arena, just trying, begging for some reprieve from those newts and that DPS.
Now, it's a good thing to note that Volta has taken out all of the backline, and Karis actually was able to MJD away from all of the DPS from the Volta side, which is kept him alive here. But Volta has wiped out the entire backline here, so at the end of the day, there's a chance that they can still pull this off. Like, they have the Scimitar, they have the ability to sustain far longer. That being said, the Scimitar is not able to keep Control Freak up, who is just getting completely blasted by Gila drones and Nightmare DPS, which is just, I don't know, it's just really crazy. We are actually seeing cargo containers be dropped for Planet 6. I think he was out of cap boosters. Very, very smart call there, but is it going to be too late? Control Freak's going down right now. Those
Karis is finally breaking.
Shutting him down.
He was able to MJD and survive. I thought he was going to be fine, but it looks like the Jackdaws just turned around and got on top of him out of nowhere. But now Planet 6 is taking DPS. This is going to come down to the wire out of almost nowhere.
I think it was worth it. I think he just went in for that little extra burst of DPS, and we're seeing those ASB charges on the Scimitar keeping him up, but look at the damage. You're not going to live very long. You're getting nuded out. You got to just get out of there. Reload, just overheat. I don't know, do something. Run away.
He's doing as much as he can, and Zardes Gothic is taking DPS in that healer. If Planet 6 can stay alive for a little longer, he might be able to pull this match out for his team. There's no tackle around him and no tackle left from the minions. There's nothing that can pin him down apart from those Nightmare newts, but they need a way to stop that Nightmare from just walking through them. That's the problem here. He has so much DPS, so much range, and so much utility that it's almost impossible to stop him.
Well, and all the Gila drones just land on Planet 6. So if Planet 6 goes down before Zardes, I mean, Zardes can say, hey, I did my part. Maybe I went down, but Planet 6, he's off Reload now, and he goes down. Reload off Reload. And the Jackdaw goes down as well, and Zardes is barely alive here. He might actually live through this.
Wow, this is some incredible stuff here. I think it is almost certainly over at this point. Even with Zardes going down, there's 3 top-end ships left on the field, and the minions should be able to apply to everything, a couple of things, and win here on the points. But do you think there's any way that Volta could pull this out at this point?
I can't imagine it. Yeah, you can outrange the Nightmare maybe, but there's no control on it, and it's just flying around. I mean, you still got some tracking disruptors and guidance disruptors out, but that Nighthawk's already hitting 50% shield, and the Gila drones haven't even gotten onto it yet. So I think they're taking out these Jackdaws, wiping out that last little backline. At the end of the day, I mean, that Claymore probably can solo tank a Nighthawk by itself, and I'm guessing the Nightmare can probably solo tank a Nightmare by itself, or the Nighthawk by itself.
Volta here just proving that having sovereignty makes you worse at any tournament PvP. It's a well-known fact there as we see Outlawed No Pro going down.
I'm just happy because I think this is the first time I've seen a Nightmare actually not lose in a tournament. So big props to the minions just completely destroying Volta. It was a really close match, to be fair, but yeah, I mean, this Nightmare's having the game of his life right now, just flying around, nuding people out.
Yeah, and it's worth knowing that's the team captain.
He's like, I'm gonna fly the big ships, guys.
Alright guys, I've got a crazy idea. What if I fly an extremely overpowered ship and you guys just make it all work for me? Something we've got to understand is that I think the minions submitted a Nightmare as their flagship as well. So they have a potential to do an even more overpowered version of this in the actual Alliance tournament here, as we see this Nighthawk finally getting caught and going down as the time runs down on the clock.
Well, that does mean the minions win 79-48. They will be moving on for the chance of that super awesome Alliance tournament frigate with a pretty crazy match that we're going to have to talk quite a bit about, and we're going to move back to the studio just so we can chat about that.
at the start of the theater round, can you imagine just initiative just losing?
Fucking ram them, motherfucker! We're gonna take down Dark Shines! Dark Shines is gonna get his cut off!
Alright,
I tell
the
you
support.
Hello, welcome back. What a match that was. That's my favourite so far of the evening, and I'm going to throw this straight to Brett Thomas because you seemed so keen to talk about that nightmare some more. What was going on in that match, and why was it so powerful?
So, the Nightmare did one thing at the very start of the match. He pointed himself towards that scimitar, heated his AB, and then just sent it. So, as the rest of the team split around him and tried to apply DPS, the moment he got within, what, 20, 30 kilometers of the scimitar, he could apply his double heavy cap boosters. So let's say he's gone with heavy cap boosters too. Does anyone want to take a guess at how many modules the scimitar can run under double heavy cap booster?
You mean double heavy? No.
It's quite simple.
Is it zero?
Is it 0?
It is 0.5 of a micro warp drive. Permanently boosting, heated, he just about can run his micro warp drive for 60% of the time. Permanently heated his cap booster, he can run for 60% and run away, which is why everything stayed alive, and the moment he ran out of cap because of the heavy newts, he was in trouble. So you saw halfway through, he was only going at about 1200, and the Nighthawk was running at him at 1200. He couldn't get away further because he was boosting, activating his micro warp drive, and staggered. By the time he got up to about 900 meters per second, he was hit with a newt again and had to wait for 7 or 8 seconds for the reload. Then a scimitar has something like 4.5 minutes cap boosters in its cargo. So the moment it ran out of cargo again, it was completely screwed, which is why you saw the Jackdaw bed in front of it, drop cargo, and drop on top. We did see him do really well at mitigating that. He stayed just about out of range, so the fall off on the Nightmare wasn't like screwing it too bad. You saw him fly really, really well and keep 1 or 2 of his modules alive. But the moment the small cargo bay of the scimitar stopped him from cap boosting anymore, he was completely out of luck.
Yeah, Wingnut, what can you tell us about the logistics frigate pilot on the other side of that exchange, the minion of the minions, which was Merlin, I believe, who lived for an absolute age when, by all rights, he should have died in seconds. How do you pull something like that off?
Pure speed and low sig. That's one thing about those scalpels. They are fast little buggers. I was going to mention for that whole match though. Normally we see these matches from like Volta and Minions be a really like clean clinical match. Like they stick together, they'll fly away together, stuff like that. Midway through that match, I just zoomed out and just looked like, what's going on here? Everyone is everywhere. There's a Nightmare running in circles chasing a scimitar. There's like random Gilas spread across the map. It was such utter chaos. I honestly wonder if that was a bit like a partly intentional on Minions to like break Volta up and start picking things apart, because it was, like I said, chaotic. It was crazy.
Yeah, the first couple of minutes of that match in particular was sort of, I guess I would say, exploratory in nature because, so to start with, the Gila drones went straight after the Scalpels and they chunked him down pretty significantly. They got pretty close to killing him. But I was watching the Scalpel and he was burning away, doing his best to mitigate, and the drones were shooting and stopping as they do. So they pulled their drones back. I think they put them on the Nighthawk or something. And they continued shooting that, but the first target they called wasn't what they start with. So they were both teams, I think, were happy to switch it up a bit. And then the Nighthawk of Annie Gardet managed to burn, and I think, and got a web on the Scalpel. And then that Scalpel just instantly evaporated, and that was a good effort. But perhaps Volta could have been aware potentially that the drones may have had difficulty killing those frigates from the outset, because they did spend a minute, 2 minutes at the start of the match with those drones assigned to the frigates, and ultimately they didn't survive, so they just rep back up again. So that was a little bit time wasted. But I mean, yeah, the Nightmare, if that's correct that they're bringing a flag Nightmare, that's very, very dangerous, because I think a lot of teams, if not most teams, looked at the flagship rules this year and said, well, newts are out, webs are out, so sort of utility-focused flagships like Balgorns, Armageddons, etc., are probably not too great. So it's going to be a gunship flagship most likely. And then you think, okay, what are the gunship? Let's have a look at some faction battleships. The Nightmare, that looks pretty cool. And I think a lot of teams, like was said, you look at Pythor and wow, it puts up some cool numbers, but then actually getting it to work in that way could be a difficulty. But clearly the minions have managed to make it work, and that's although they've shown the comp, it may prove to be actually a strength for them in the actual tournament, because it makes people think, well, they've got a Flag Nightmare. We know what comp it is. Do we want to face that scary Flag Nightmare comp? Are we sure we can beat the scary Flag Nightmare comp? And then they've got to sort of maybe sacrifice a ban or two in trying to deal with it. Maybe they ban like the Gila when they otherwise wouldn't, or that sort of thing. So it sort of gives them an extra potential like tactical strength of having this option that opponents might be scared of.
Yeah, all right. Well, we've got to head right into things here, guys. Make sure to tell all your friends, because we are past the opening round now, and we're going into the qualifiers for the grand finals, the semi-finals, as it were. BBP, introduce these teams for us really quick.
We're gonna introduce these teams really quick because they're actually already landing, but we do have Platinum Sensitivity going up against, drumroll please, I want to say Forsaken Empire. I'm trying to open their stuff.
Literally
up right
triggered.
Yes.
Literally triggered.
And this is a
Literally
really
triggered.
interesting matchup.
I'm good at my job.
This is an incredibly interesting matchup because Literally Triggered have lost twice already in the Open Series against Platinum Sensitivity. So this will be for the 3-0 clean sweep by Platinum if they can pull this one off. So let's head over to the arena and watch this match play out.
Well, alrighty then. Welcome to the arena, guys. We have, again, an undermanned comp. The same one we saw a couple of matches ago. Triple Rattlesnake. Let's go. This is going to be beautiful. And Brett, took us about what Platinum Sensitivity brought.
So Platinum Sensitivity have brought triple EOS, triple Stratios, double Thalia Hyena Vengeance. They have brought a command ship heavy drone comp.
So you see what they do with this. Are they going to try and run away from Rattlesnakes? Are these cruisers or are they rapid heavies again?
They will probably be rapid heavies, but the big thing is you have to be within your 60 kilometers for your drones to be able to fire because of drone control range. So
Yeah,
if they pull out too far, they're not going to be able to shoot. I believe this is one of the first matches, at least this year, we've seen with Stratioses in them. So I'm really excited to see how they go. A lot of people brought Vexes instead of Stratioses for 4 points. So I'm interested to see how this works.
I'm not enthusiastic at the moment about Stratioses. As you say, Vexes, there is an option for cheaper, do effectively the same thing, but can also be good, well fit for newts. We will see. I'm not, like I said, I can always be very much wrong.
An interesting thing I would like to see, and I think we are going to see, is previously we saw the Rattlesnakes have some sentry drones fit in them as well. So maybe instead of seeing them drop the heavy drones, they may drop the sentries and try and potshot stuff. Because we know with rapid heavies and heavy drones, these EOSs are going to die so quickly if they are in range. So hopefully they are, and hopefully they start doing well.
Now, we have seen situations like with comps like this were used in the Alliance Opens, and they did a very brutal, MJD spam away there. They would bounce from beacon to beacon to beacon and stay away from damage. Unfortunately, these rattles can apply to a lot of the arena, as they all drop bounces, so they were automatically shooting already.
Yeah.
They're going for a Stratos.
Platinum Sensitivity are burning sideways hard. They're trying to mitigate the amount of transversal they have against the sentry drones that have been dropped. They know if they burn straight back, the sentry drones are just going to delete something. So they're burning sideways to pull range in a way that stops the sentries applying all the damage instantly to them.
Yeah, see this Orthrus is currently shooting the Hyena, but look at this swarm of drones just hunting down this Orthrus. And I don't think they're switching over to the Hyena, actually. All these drones are going into the Hyena, and look at that. You can watch the damage start to apply. Hyenas now goes to low shield, straight through armor. And if they get one more hit, the Hyena's going to pop.
Well, the Hyena has just pulled out of drone control range, which is why you see all those Imperial Navy Predators just stop dead. because they no longer can apply past the 60 kilometers. So all the Praetors now turn around and are assigned something else, which is probably the Orthrus. You're seeing smaller drones, a couple of them continue. They are the closer ships of the Stratios, just being a little bit closer and are still able to click F and apply from that distance.
Yeah, but they have managed to push this hyena effectively out of the fight for the next 30 seconds to a minute. So he's now out of it for now. And the hyena of Sai, I can't say that name. Sai Kakashi is barely holding.
I would like to see the rattlesnakes. And we are seeing them now abandon the sentries and drop heavy drones now that they're close enough. It looks like they're going to get on top of some of these stuff and apply their rapid heavies. We aren't seeing much damage go on stuff at the moment, guys, for everybody watching, because all the rattlesnakes have hit reload burning straight in, and luckily Platinum Sensitivity were running away and just shortened that missile range so it didn't hit. They have now fully reloaded, and we're now going to see damages on EOSs.
The interesting thing as well is the amount of E-War going on. I see there's a bunch of 2 Kitsune is a lot of E-War, and they're trying to go off all the small end stuff. They're trying to jam out Thalia's, Vengeance, Hyena, rather than trying to jam out potential DPS ships. So, because of course, trying to jam out drone ships is not the most fun of experiences.
Yeah,
How is Tiger still alive?
Yeah, we're seeing the rattlesnakes just heat and try and get closer, and the EOSs are just running sideways to try and get out of range. You're seeing the damage start to apply because the heavy drones have finally landed, and they're finally getting in the range for heavy missiles to apply. But I think they've done the exact same thing where they say, oh, we're in 50 kilometers, and bent straight for them and fired their missiles thinking they're in range. But because the EOSs are burning backwards, by the time the missiles get there, they're another 10 kilometers and they don't apply. So the EOSs are just out of their range and none of the missiles are applying. Maybe the rattlesnakes need to swap to some precision, some long range missiles, and apply it onto these EOSs, because Michael Rinner in the rattlesnake is slowly going down now.
Yeah, I gotta say as well, massive respect to Sai Kakashi, because he's got no Logi backing up. There's not even Logi drones on him. He is solo with no support, and he's pretty much helping this comp stay together. He's the one giving them the paints they need to apply on targets. So Sai Kakashi, man, like, doing amazing work. I'm surprised the Vengeance has gone off to try and kill him solo.
We're now seeing Michael Rinner in the rattlesnake burn sideways, trying to outrun that drone control range, doing what the hyena did, and not letting those drones to apply so he can burn right back in. Because he can apply his drones from the 50 kilometers, so can they. So as all the EOSs are running away, all of a sudden they're going to stop doing damage unless they turn back around, which you are seeing some of them do.
And this is the one problem with these rattlesnakes, unfortunately, is they don't have smart bombs. They can't remove this massive, massive wave of drones. And that's just going to really, really suck for Michael Rinner at the moment. And Sai Kakashi's still alive. He should not be alive. There's even a Stratios reasonably near him. Come on.
He is out of range. The rattlesnake of Michael is getting out of range, and half those drones are no longer being applied. Platinum Sensitivity need to burn back in to apply damage here, or he's going to get out of range and start shield boosting. You're seeing like a swarm of 5 hit, fire, and then stop, because he's just about out of range. We're now seeing Stratios is burned back in so they could reapply drones.
Also watching the Stratios of not Stratios. Rattlesnake of J.A. Alois. He's just turned on his micro jump drive. He looks like he's going to try and jump for, I have no idea, going behind an EOS. I actually don't know where he's trying to go.
So it looks like the final Stratios managed to pull in a little bit further and apply that last amount of damage. So all the drones are now focusing on the second rattlesnake of Hila Kakashaya. Sorry for butchering that name.
Yeah. And the Rattlesnake of J.A. Alois just tried to MJD behind the EOSs, and unfortunately, the EOSs, I think, saw that coming or were just going in different directions, so he's now jumped away and is effectively not really in a position to fight too well. He will be able to fire missiles, of course, but I think, again, yeah, they're about 50k away from him again, so he's going to fire missiles into the sky and do nothing.
Yeah, they're doing really well at being faster than these rattlesnakes and just burning back. You're seeing these rattlesnakes only being able to do 800 meters per second. So these platinum sensitivity EOSs going 13 to 1400, maybe 1500 with heat can just kite them all day. They can't get close. The rattlesnakes can't get within range, and because they've moved out of range of the sentries, they can't apply any damage further away.
Yeah, this Rattlesnake of Hilo, he's slowly dying. So he's definitely going to go down soon. Actually, honestly, these EOS pilots have done really, really well. I honestly expected the Stratios to explode, and they're still holding on too. Like, bravo to this comp to be able to just stay at the right spots to avoid the damage from these massive rattlesnakes.
Yeah, what I would like to have seen the Rattlesnakes do now is now that the Eoses and Stratioses were burning over the middle of the grid, now that they were hitting like the middle of the grid where they originally dropped their bouncers, abandoned the Berserkers and reconnect to the bouncers to fire again.
Yep, and look at that. Healer's about to go down. There's nothing he can do. Like, again, no smart bombs, no way to clear out all these drones. I don't think he even had a Skybreaker. No, they didn't even have a Skybreaker to try and shoot these drones off. They just went all in on these Rattlesnakes, and unfortunately, like, as much as I like top-heavy comps, you need a little bit of something to try and at least remove stuff like this.
Yeah,
And
these
Kakashi, my god, he's still alive. Bravo to Kakashi.
Yeah,
he's caught now. He's gonna die.
They just about don't have the range to do stuff like this. We saw Test Alliance when they brought these battleship heavy comps were bringing crews, so if somebody did something like this, they could still apply their damage from the entire length of the arena. But this time, literally triggered both Rattlesnakes with rapid heavy instead, and can only really apply to that 60-kilometer sphere around them.
Yeah, exactly. And these Eoses know that, and also they can sit
MJD from
right
the
on the edge of
Rattlesnake?
it. Yeah, they can sit deliberately within like 50k and just burn away and let the missiles time out before they even arrive. Rattlesnake's going for the jump. Where's he going to land? Again, not he's better this time, but not by much. You're going to see the Eos is turning around and leaving. So he's got maybe like 10 seconds to do damage before the Eos leaves his range again.
I would have liked.
That's going to be so infuriating. That's going to be so annoying.
I would have liked to see something like this happen earlier at the very start of the match when they had triple Rattlesnakes. When they had the three of them, have one of them jump and the two push forward. So if they burn away, the two Rattlesnakes can get in range.
Yeah, or try a pincer. You got three Rattlesnakes, you can make a triangle around your enemy. Try and signal the Troglavians to arrive and whatnot. But yeah, they need to try and like, grab something. And unfortunately, the entire Platinum Sensitivity team knew that and did everything they could to avoid that fate.
Yeah, they did really, really well at pulling at that like 60-70 kilometer range where if someone MJDs, you can turn around by the time they land and focus towards you. You're going to be back to the middle. You're going to be at that 50 kilometers and burn back.
Yeah, I say max respect as well to the CEO. He's done a pretty good job throughout this match. I think he's the guy that's killed two Thalias and the Hyena pretty much solo at this point. The Rattlesnakes can't really do anything to help him. So honestly, bravo to him. Be able to be on the field, still be useful, but not be killed by anything.
Yeah, he's did really, really well. But the big thing is all the damage on this Platinum Sensitivity side is in drones. It's only really the Vengeance that has projectiles that can apply to stuff. And the Vengeance is not really in this situation going to be damaged. Sorry, the Vengeance is fit with close range missiles, so he can't really apply to the Orthrus either. So nothing can really apply to him. And if it is the horde of drones going on the Orthrus can just overheat and completely outrun all the heavy drones that are on the field here. So he's done a very good job at not being in a situation where the drones can hot swap to him.
Yep, and he can already see them coming. All the drones are now onto him now. I just love watching this swarm of just painful drones just chasing him down. Like, you should probably just hear the mental screaming inside his head right now.
We are now seeing him gas as fast as he can to outrun all of these drones. And the Praetors, I believe, are just about faster than him. So they're slowly going to catch up, fire a volley, and then slowly catch up and fire another one. So he's just burning straight forward to mitigate the most amount of damage possible.
Actually, look at the Stratius of Tamamaru. What the hell's going on with him? Why is he so weak?
It's because the Orthrus is just slowly plinking away at them now that the Thalias are down.
Not a single self-rep or any rep drones anywhere. In a drone comp. Shaking my damn head.
I don't think they really need it. I think these ships will be max amount of tank and drone applying, so that if anything gets shot, it stays alive for the most amount of time, so these drones apply the most amount of damage.
Oh, match has been timed there. So congratulations, Platinum Sensitivity. My bet has been saved. Thank you so much, and we'll take it back to the studio.
Pew, 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 pew. Pew, pew, pew.
So the plan is that we execute a star formation with perfect 90-degree angles. You need to heat 2 cycles, not 3, 2. Spipple's web, but the Spipple's web. And we need do we need missiles or Spipples, and we need thermal drone.
HighSec Buyback offers 90% JITA anywhere in HighSec. Simply go to highsec.evebuyback.com, appraise your items, create a contract, and get paid quickly.
And welcome back. With that, we see Platinum Sensitivity beating Literally Triggered, defeating the eternal, immortal Underman comp. Once again, we have seen it not actually make it to the finals, but do really, really well. I kind of almost want to have Wingnut and Brett go at it about drones, but we're not going to do that. Instead, what I would like to hear is, Baza, can you tell me if you saw some weird target calling, if you saw some weird stuff? Like, was there anything that they could have done to beat Platinum Sensitivity?
I think that's a really rough matchup for Literally Triggered. Of course, after the first match, we weren't sure if it was some incredible 7-head play to bring the Underman comp against Test, or if it was more a case of task failed successfully. But it turns out, yeah, they were only able apparently to field the 7 guys. And I think they probably expected that they weren't going to be going up against a drone comp. I mean, they probably wouldn't have brought those 2 Kitsunes if they thought, and of course the Ishtar being banned makes it a lot harder to bring the drone comp. Platinum Sensitivity now excellently thinking ahead and thinking, well, maybe we can metagame this. And they subbed in the Stratioses instead. So they've got 3 Eoses, 3 Stratioses, and that's more than capable of just running away from the Rattlesnakes, as we saw, and kiting them out to eternity and whittling them down with those heavy drones. So normally the drone comps are really, really contingent on the hyenas. I think we've seen a couple of ones with 1 hyena, we've seen a couple with 2 hyenas. And that hyena did nearly die at the start. And I think the only real avenue for Literally Triggered there would have been for the Kitsunes to jam the hyena so that the hyena can't web the Orthrus, and then have the Orthrus and sentry drones kill the hyena. But it's very, very tricky because there's so much kite potential. It's so difficult to catch anything if your hyena dies. And Psychic actually didn't die, but they still weren't really able to get anything because all their damage is the 60-kilometer range Rattlesnakes. I mean, they've got the heavy drones, but they're also chasing around, and they shoot, they stop, they shoot, they stop. So yeah, it's just a really rough matchup for them. Really tough to come up against that. Not expecting a drone comp, and you bring the 2 Kitsunes, and it's kind of very, very difficult to do anything with.
Yeah, so maybe they got like a little bit out set up or out comped. Maybe Literally Triggered literally only has 7 pilots today. I don't know, but regardless, they did lose that. I kind of wanted to talk about target calling myself, so I'll just throw it to myself here. I do think that, like, regardless of whether or not Literally Triggered, picked a good comp, I think they actually flew a really good job. Brett, you were kind of talking about drones and drone control range and stuff like that. Like, what did they do? What was the big deal? Why was drone control range important in this situation?
So, as drones, once they go past control range, apply damage 5 times and then stop. So what the Rattlesnake was trying to do was pull beyond that drone control range, have those 5 cycles apply, and then not do any more damage because they can't engage it without bending back in. But unfortunately, one of the ships managed to, all you need to do is bend back into that 60 kilometers, click F1 so they re-engage, and then you can pull back out of that range perfectly fine. It means that while within the 60 kilometers you can apply your drones, but in a team situation like this and in the tournament, you all can't just assign your drones onto, let's say, a Griffin or something small or a Scalpel. And if the Scalpel leaves and goes to the other side of the arena, those drones don't stay on it forever. They only stay on it until they've applied that set of 5 damage, and then you'll have to reassign them to something closer.
Yeah, and I do have to say that they did a really, really good job of kiting out Platinum Sensitivity's heavy drones. One thing, the Stratios versus the Ishtar. The Ishtars are objectively better. It's 5 heavy drones instead of 4. They have a drone speed bonus, so the heavy drones are faster. And I do think that, yeah, Literally Triggered lost, but they flew really, really well. So you got to give them props for that. You can't just totally dumpster on teams. Like they did the best they could. Maybe they could have done their target calling a little better. I'm not entirely sure, but regardless, we do have Forsaken Empire versus the Minions coming up, and this is a pretty exciting one because we've seen both of these teams be really, really good just throughout this entire couple weekends that we've been doing this. Jen, do you have any predictions on this?
Man, this is a really, really difficult one to call. These are two teams with a huge, huge history in this series so far. But personally, I'm going to put my money on the Minions. They've already done this once before, and they're one of the few teams that have been able to beat them. Interestingly, the only other team that has been able to beat Forsaken Empire is actually Test, who managed to take them out in, I believe, week 2. It's going to be interesting though, because the Minions last time they did rely on, a Zarm, and that is banned in this matchup. What kind of impact do you think that that's going to have, Wingnut, without the Zarm at their disposal?
Useless ship. They're not going to lose anything of importance there. The Zarm is worthless. It's terrible. It's a crap ship. Triangles are terrible. I'm kidding. I don't like the Zarm. I don't see the point. I'll take an Oneros over every single time, so I'm the worst person to ask about that.
I think the Minions have brought the Zarm a bunch of times, but I'm not sure how successful it was. And as you said, the Zarm maybe not the best choice. So that could actually be sort of an accidental buff to the Zarm. We're going to ban your Zarm, so you can't use it. Well, actually, we are stronger without it. So thank you very much. Forced into a stronger comp. But I'm gonna withhold from making a judgment on who I think is going to win, because so far every time I predict someone they lose, and I don't want to rig it. So hands off from me. Whoever wins, wins. I'm not saying anything.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I do think that Zarms are very, very good ships, but I think that their point cost is a little bit high to actually be able to use them. And it's probably why we're not really seeing them that much, besides the targeted ban to make sure that nobody gets to use the Zarm, which was obviously targeting these guys. So I do believe the match is actually ready, which means we are going to throw it over to Baza and Jin. So you'll get to find out if there actually are Zarms, or if it was the banning it was what completely makes the Minions lose here.
So welcome to the arena, guys. Here, this may look very, very familiar, as both of these teams bring in 2 comps that we've seen earlier today. The Minions, of course, bring in their iconic Nightmare, 2 Claymore, 2 Gila comp. So we're going to have to see how this fares up again. Jin, do you want to run us through Forsaken Empire's cookie cutter comp that we've seen before?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a Nighthawk, mid-range composition. I haven't checked quite on the missile launchers of these Nighthawks. I'll let you know shortly what they've got. But this is a team with a lot of tank. You can just see that there. It's a bunch of T2 resistances, plus the 4% resistance per level bonus that the healer gets. It's going to make those Kirins surprisingly effective at keeping things up, even versus that Nightmare and Claymore DPS. I think the real question here is going to come down to the tackle war. That Hyena is going to be crucial. It needs to keep the Jackdaws and the Skybreaker out of the back line for Forsaken Empire, because if things get pinned down and the Nightmare can be focused on one ship at a time, that's going to spell doom here for Forsaken Empire.
I agree. I think those Jackdaws are going to be absolutely critical in this match. The Forsaken Empire side, like you said, they're a pretty mid-sized comp with the 5 Nighthawks and the 2 Gilas, a little bit lacking on the low end. But yeah, if those Jackdaws can deal with the Hyena and the Gilas as well with their light missile launchers easily able to apply, it may provide a little bit more difficulty for the Nighthawk and the Gila to kite around. These are 2 fairly similar comps though. So I mean, fairly similar in terms of projection. I would assume obviously that Nightmare going to be able to punch pretty significantly across the arena here.
Yeah, the thing is, though, with all these Nighthawks, I guarantee one of them is going to be bringing skirmish links. So Toady, in that Hyena, if he has 2 webs, he's going to be able to do so much to screen off this tackle. There's a lot of intricate play that's going to have to go on here, and both teams, you can see, taking their time a little bit, although it looks like they're making a move already here, actually. The Nightmare team, that is the Minions, they're pulling around the left side, trying to corral this team in.
Yeah, and both these Jackdaws have immediately gone sharpshooter mode. I'm going to assume they're light missile Jackdaws as they're sort of hanging back a little bit. And these guys, honestly, I think the Jackdaw is far and away the strongest 4-point ship in terms of sort of damage. The light missile Jackdaw is insane compared to everything else, compared to the Flycatcher. For example, Flycatchers gets a huge HP bonus, but the Jackdaw in sharpshooter mode just has such insane projection. It gets light missiles out to like 90, 100k or something. So it can be totally out of any danger at all. and still apply perfectly to your support wing. So this Hyena of Toady may be in some real danger here if the Keelers focus on him as well.
Look, the DPS is starting to come across the grid though now. We can see Ann Karras in half shields already. That was almost as much damage as he took in the entire last match for about 3 to 4 minutes, and they're able to rep him back up. Frederick, on the other hand, he doesn't look like he's getting reps at all here. The Orthrus pulling into the back line, trying to get near those Kirins, so he'll be in optimal range for them, but it's not going to be enough. It looks like they're burning through those Kirin reps here, whilst the Kirin reps on the other side are holding. Sorry, the Scalpel reps.
Is going to go down. He's just about to go down. He's in armor. He's taking huge chunks from these heavy missiles across the arena, and these Kirins, one of them's on top of him, but Riven Thoris wasn't quite near enough, and now he's just gone down. Yeah,
and it looks like Toady is taking so much DPS as well from these drones, but he's going to be repped up now that there's no Orthrus taking all the attention of those Kirins. Jevzy seems to be next, though. This could be really, really bad here for the Forsaken Empire team. Stuff's going down quickly, and they're not able to latch onto anything. This Nighthawk rush, they're trying to pile in here, but they just can't land a tackle on anything. And the Nightmare is, again, he's in the back lines. There's frigates all around him, but they've just got a web. There's not enough to control him down. That's not enough to stop this conflag from applying.
Yeah, this Nightmare just burns in and says, I'm going to do what I want. He flies around and nobody dares go near him. Both these comps obviously very similar sort of archetypes with these kind of long-range projection-based comps. But this Nightmare, therefore, is nobody wants to get close to him. Nobody wants to pin him down and stop him from going where he wants to go. And he's just free to run around, shoot and newt, whatever he feels like. And yeah, those Gila drones doing absolute work as that Gila of Jeevesy goes down as well.
Something else to point out is the power of all these mid slots that the Jackdaw has. It's one of the reasons why we saw it banned so often. 6 mids, lots of room for tackle, and in this case, even TDs. It's making these Nighthawks apply so little DPS. You can see they're on top of things, but look at the damage bar of Forsaken Empire. It's pitiful. They can't get it above the barest minimum slice of red, whilst their best pilot is deep in the red here now. 2/3 of his shield down, and he's going down faster.
What are they shooting, Jin? I don't know why they're doing so little damage. They don't seem to be shooting anything at all. And I'm honestly struggling. They've still got plenty of damage. They've still got 3 Nighthawks and a Gila. Like it's not all lost, but they're still just not shooting anything as far as I can tell. Maybe they are shooting the Scalpel and the other one's just holding him up. Maybe it was the Gila drones from the second Gila and the Orthrus was so critical to kill him. But the minions said, well, we're just going to deal with the Orthrus, deal with the Gila, and then suddenly there's nothing left that can really kill the Scalpel. The 3 Nighthawks without application bonuses, firing heavy missiles, not going to be the best things.
Toady here's going down. With Toady going down, this is so difficult now. The routes back into the match are minimal here. Their best pilot, he's still surviving. He's somehow managed to hold on for now. But
MJD.
Yeah, there we go. MJD. It looks like they're all leaving the arena. I don't even know what's going on here. Basilisk, what do you think's happening? Is this misclicks?
Yeah, this is, I don't know. Yeah, it's crazy. This is all on the line. I mean, obviously, this is such a tense moment for both of these teams. The winner of this match, just to remind everyone watching, the winner of this match goes up in the final against Platinum Sensitivity, and the winner of that final will win an Alliance Tournament prize frigate. So yeah, this is hugely stressful and tense scenario for both of these teams. And Forsaken Empire, they just seem to be coming off worse for it. I mean, this Minions comp, they brought it last time with the Nightmare and the 2 Claymores.
They're doing it. Windjackal, MJDing out of the arena. They have given up. This is the one from Forsaken Empire. The Minions, the kings of the best of one, are going through to the finals.
Yeah, it's really incredible. And are they going to bring this Nightmare comp again? It worked last time, it worked this time, and it really puts the onus on Platinum Sensitivity to say, this is what we think can deal with the Nightmare comp. This is what we've got. And then find out. Obviously, they've got 3 games. If it doesn't work in the first time, they have the option to try something else. But the Minions here really seem confident in this Nightmare comp. They really know how to fly it. They really know how to work it to its full potential. And yeah, it's going to be an absolute cracker of a final.
Yeah, we're just going to wait for Enoch to get Enocked off, and we can send it back to the studio to discuss this final. This is going to be an amazing matchup. Oh my god, Platinum Sensitivity versus the Minions. 2 teams with a really interesting set of theory crafting decisions that seem so far off the beaten path of everyone else. This has been an amazing match. Let's head back to the studio and talk some more about it.
I like turtles.
D. E. Liverance.
It's only Nighthawk. Why you have to be mad?
Wait, it's me, right? All right, welcome back. And we just saw the glorious Nightmare once again completely run train over everybody who goes up against it. We were just chatting a little bit on how you can defeat the all-powerful Sancha Menace, and I have some ideas, but what I want to actually hear is Brett Thomas's ideas on the Nightmare.
So, the one thing that Nightmare does is people are like leaving it alone to just fly straight into the middle of your team. A better option would be to lock that Nightmare down early. Just I know people don't want to get close to it because it's pulse and it applies a lot of damage. If you're something kitey, that Nightmare can't really catch up to you. If you lock it down early and burn away, it can't really do that much because you saw one of the hyenas webbing it in that match. It dropped down to like 300 meters per second. So it means that if you manage to catch the Nightmare out of position, it can still apply a lot of damage, but it doesn't do its total domination that it does in this match. And a lot of your other ships can like kite around in a different direction because they were heavy missile Nighthawks. They have the range in this match. You have something, lock it down, and everybody else burn the other way and apply damage from, well, not outside of its range because it's a Nighthawk, but outside of its effective conflag range.
Yeah, we did saw a lot of scorched DPS from it. I was sitting there watching it. Watching battleships pilot is probably my favorite thing to do ever in Alliance tournaments. Anyone who's heard me shit talking people's piloting on battleships probably knows that, and my team that I was flying with knows that as well. But he was tracking everything. Like, I was watching him just take, like 20-30% Gila shields off in one shot. It was kind of incredible. Very, very good Nightmare piloting. Virian says it was his first time in a Nightmare. I don't think that's entirely true, but you know what? Twitch chat never lies, so you're probably correct there. Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know about that one, but still, it was really crazy. Jin, do you have any like moments of that match that you thought were just huge, or was it just a total outplay?
Yeah, like I said, I think the key part of that was just the Nightmare getting in the back line. The fact that they weren't able to screen him out, it just seems like it isn't possible. You need to stack multiple webs on there, and being able to do that without getting the hyena in a position, man, it's tough. They were able to just pressure off the key parts of the composition. They didn't have to kill them. They recognized that and they accepted that. They weren't going for the kill in the earlier parts of the match. They were putting pressure, forcing them to miss position, and then going in. That patience, I think, is what's going to do the minions so well when it comes to the Real Alliance tournament, because it's such a high intensity tournament. Especially even in this final, we're going to see the same thing. They don't seem to wilt under pressure. If anything, they seem to improve on it. They haven't lost a single best of one throughout the entire time of these 7 weeks. They have lost a best of 3, so maybe we'll see them go down here. But man, I am so excited to see how this final plays out.
Yeah, so the final is going to be... Oh, no, you go. That's okay.
I just want to say, I really want to see the Platinum Sensitivity drone comp versus that Nightmare, because I suspect the Nightmare's strength, of course, is being able to, ignore Nighthawk missiles effectively, and also have 2 utility highs, be untackable, yada, yada, yada. I want to see Platinum just run rings around it. She's like, oh yeah, we've got 50 million drones, man. You can go as fast as you want. We're still going to hit you. I honestly just really want to see that at the moment.
I would have to open PyFa, but I'm pretty sure that heavy missiles do in fact apply to a Nightmare, even if it's afterburning. Just because heavy missiles kind of apply to everything, weirdly enough, nowadays. So I was actually thinking about that, and I hadn't decided if I wanted to say anything about it or not, but since you kind of brought it up, I think that maybe the tactic here is to actually kill the Nightmare.
Shoot the Nightmare.
Yeah, I was going to say, hold. You guys ready for this? Shoot the Nightmare.
Holy crap, he's a genius.
This guy, man, Put him in the next AT team. He's got it. He knows what's up.
As they sometimes say in League of Legends, death is the best CC. If you can kill the Nightmare, clearly he's not doing anything.
Well, so if you think about it, I'm sure lots of people have flown Nightmares, right? Like all you had to do, like you shut Nightmares down. They're really cap intensive, and they're honestly not that tanky, right? Because it's an AT ship, so he's probably got maybe 4 slots of tank, and it's an unbonus. It's not like an SNI where it's 8 slots with a 20% shield bonus. So I don't know, just shoot the Nightmare, go for it.
Yeah, and they had no shortage of damage. They had the Nighthawks, and they had what, like 2 Gilas and an Orthrus. They had plenty of damage. I reckon they probably could have killed him. Yeah,
or at least try, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I'm also now going to take credit if minions lose. It was 100% my idea of shooting the Nightmare. Even if they don't shoot the Nightmare, taking it. I think that we are going to be having our next match in about 10 minutes or so, but something that we did not really talk about at all today is our bands. So we do have this really cute little band graphic, but I sort of want to have Jin talk about all of the different bands. So we have 6 different ship bands. They are the same for every single match, so it's a little bit different than the tournament. But Jin, can you kind of go over some of them?
Yeah, there's a really interesting dichotomy in the bands because we have 4 of them which seem to be based on raw power level, just straight up some of the most powerful ships that you can bring in a tournament setting. And those are the Barghest, the Ishtar, the Loki, and the Curse. We haven't seen the Curse brought much over the course of the Open Series. It seems like teams are really, really afraid of the combination of utility and aggressive control that it can bring out, and they just don't want to play against it. On the other hand, though, then you have these Armageddon and Zarmazd bands. You know, the Armageddon is a ship that we've seen a couple of teams, notably the teams that are quite focused on 3 battleship control, such as the Minions really like using. As well as that, we've also seen the Zarmazd band, which is a signature ship, as we talked about earlier, of the Minions. So they're playing a really big disadvantage as they come in here. And on the other hand, Platinum Sensitivity, they don't really have any bands hugely here directed against them. They won most of their games using the Barghest, which is a very, very powerful ship, obviously, but one that they've shown that they can win without, having 4 matches under their belt with a Mimitar Rush composition. There's so much interesting. There's so many interesting options here. For those of you who aren't familiar with this format, by the way, these bands were decided by the captains all submitting 1 ship each, and with any duplicates just being added up. So, you know, we had almost every team choose something completely different to take off the table. What do you think? Some more interesting banning strategies might be here, Wingnut? Can you think of any other reasons why these ships might be being taken off the table?
Just to try and limit comps, I suspect. It's also trying to, like, for instance, killing the Nighthawk comp entirely. People have found a new way to use it, but as you've seen last couple of matches, it's got limitations without the Loki. So it's kind of just removing the more obvious comps, and obviously some of the just more raw power ships, as you say. Beyond that, the Zarm ban is because the Zarm is trash. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, I think if you think, oh, Barghests are insane, you know, if the sort of common thinking is Barghests are incredibly overpowered, Barghests are super strong, 3 Barghests beats everything, yada yada yada, then if everyone leaves the Barghest unbanned, then everyone brings Barghests, and then it's sort of every team kind of gambling that they're better at the Barghest comp because everyone knows everyone else is always going to bring Barghests, and it's just Barghests and Barghests, and we saw it. Was it last week or the week before? So I'm glad that isn't the case. But yeah, I think some of these ships are sort of, you think, for example, literally triggered. Say maybe they think, oh, we've got this TFI comp with a Guardian that we really like bringing, and maybe we think a Curse screws it over really bad, so we're going to ban the Curse every week, for example. So I think some of these bans potentially just came from this ship sort of screws over our best comp that we want to field. So let's just get rid of it.
I think the one major ban as well, the Curse ban, it's very much like bringing Curse in comps is a very high skill ship to bring. You have to know what you're doing and do it right. So if you're not comfortable in using it and potentially fighting it, you ban it. You just don't even risk that. Don't even try. Just get rid of it. And yeah, you can see that. I think it's been almost consistently banned because it is just that dangerous of a ship.
Yeah, and that's actually really interesting in itself, because I'm sort of unsure where its actual power level lies, because everyone's banning it, everyone seems to be scared of it. Week in, week out, it's not eligible. But we haven't actually seen any comps with it as a result, so I don't actually know where it stands. Is it actually insanely strong, or is it a total noob trap and you bring the curse and the actual AT and you just get curb stomped? I don't know. We haven't actually got the evidence from this tournament to find out where the curse's power level actually is. So maybe some teams will take the risk and say the curse is maybe a little bit unproven in this sort of format, but maybe it's good, and maybe some teams will steer clear of it.
Yeah, I think with the curse, we've seen a few of them in like Alliance Opens and everything, the tournaments over the last year. But unless, like, we've seen them pretty much come like 50-50, they either win or they die, obviously, but they're not really showing to be too strong. But when you give a good team it, holy hell, they do some terrifying things. I would not want to fight that ever. I just ban it, get rid of it. Don't even go near it.
I do wonder how it's sort of in conjunction with the changes to the flagship bans, because obviously with the flagships changes, you can't really, well, nobody's bringing Armageddons or Balgorns anymore, and I feel like those kind of flagships and comps based on those flagships work really well with sort of supplemental newts from the curse. Heavy newts obviously have a really long cycle time, but if you have a bunch of medium and small newts on a curse, for example, to help cap out a Logi Cruiser, it can be very, very effective and keep them at zero cap. But with those flagships gone and the meta sort of seemingly shifting away from these 3 battleship cores, which we saw constantly in AT16, I think Triumvirate almost exclusively flew Vindicator, Balgorn, Leshak, triple battleship core for pretty much every single match. The meta seems to have moved away from that, so I'm not sure how much value the curse has in this new seemingly sort of shield missile focused meta.
Yeah, well, enough talking about the upcoming finals, because we're going to have another match, actually, it looks like, before that comes up. We've got the third place match to decide who is the best of the losers between Literally Triggered and Forsaken Empire. Now, this is only for Honor, but Honor means a lot to these sorts of players, you know. They've been battling it out for weekends after weekends, and they've probably been spending a ton of time during the week sort of grinding out practices. Can you talk a little bit about the kind of training regimen that goes into being a tournament pilot here, Black Pirate?
Yeah, it's kind of rough. I think that, well, let's split it into two things. So Eve players, I feel like you either play once a week or you play like 12 hours a day, right? And if you're a 12-hour a day player, it's not that bad. But if you're kind of more of a casual Eve player, it's pretty rough. Like, I don't know of any teams, like even some of the ones you wouldn't consider to be, you know, quote unquote top tier, which God knows who those even are. They're doing like 2 to 3 practices a week. I mean, we're seeing it, you know, in the like looking for refs, looking for skirms. I think General Stargazer, who's, you know, the head ref, has been saying that he's been playing like 40 hours a week just running matches for people. So, you know, people are putting in like 6 to 9 to 12 hours a week just practicing for the last, you know, 2 or 3 months. It's pretty crazy. All these guys, they practice like crazy. They're doing tons and tons of reps, because at the end of the day, yeah, maybe if you get third or fourth or, you know, second place today, it doesn't matter that much. But if you get, you know, third, fourth, second, 16th place in the actual alliance tournament, like these are hundreds of billions, if not trillions of ISK on the line. So people try. They try really, really hard.
Yeah, and a huge thank you to everyone who's turned up and is watching, by the way. We peaked at over 500 viewers earlier tonight, and that is brilliant to see in a tournament that has, you know, only been announced, you know, a couple of months ago. It's great to see there is so much hunger in the community, and we couldn't do it without all you guys in the audience. If you want us to see more tournaments like this, please make sure to share the link far and wide, follow us, subscribe, and, do whatever the things are that you do in Twitch. We really appreciate it. If you happen to miss any of the earlier matches, please also check out our YouTube channel, Eve_NT, where we have replays of all of the previous week's matches and the replays of this week's matches, the Invitational Opens. Oh my god, I cannot wait to see these teams clash off against one another again. BBP, predictions, please. Who do you think's winning, coming away with the bronze medal here, and who do you think's coming away with the absolutely nothing?
Bronze medal. Oof. So I've been really liking how Forsaken Empire has been flying today. And also, I really, really don't like teams that bring underman setups. So, unless Literally Triggered found 3 more pilots, I'm going with Forsaken Empire here.
Man's the way to go. Come on. Bring more heavy stuff.
Yeah, I just don't like underman setups. Like, it sucks to say, but they just don't work. I know we saw some weird stuff last week with, or 2 weeks ago with Test beating a couple of the Vargas setups with it, but that's so niche. Like, I want to see 10 people fly really, really well together and beat up someone who brings 7 people. Is that so much to ask?
I want to be right here, and I'll put this I'll say it now, be quoted later. I think there is a place for sure for some very strong underman comps. Just people need to find a time to use them. And tell their pilots to please sit down. We only need 7 of you today.
Yeah, I'm going to take Forsaken Empire in this one. Like I said, I'm just hoping that they bring another one of those logiless comps that we've seen them rely on in previous weeks. Those things are so fun to watch, aren't they, Wingnut?
Oh yeah, I always love logiless comps. Like, who needs Logi, man? Just bring DPS. That's all you ever need. Logi is for the weak. Of mind and of body.
Yeah, what's the main advantage of bringing a logiless comp, Basilisk? What does that really open up for you in terms of your options as a captain?
Points. You get points, and with points you get damage. You get shit tons of damage, and if you got more damage than the other guys and you kill them through their Logi, then who the hell needs Logi? That's the way I see it anyway. I mean, I'm not sure if that's good, but I mean, in some niche scenarios it can work. If you just bring overwhelming amounts of damage and just say, screw the Logi, we don't care. We're just going to go straight through the Logi anyway, whatever. Bring your Logi, bring your pathetic reps. We don't give a crap. We're just going to shoot through you. Then, yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, Forsaken Empire have shown some degree of proclivity for that. As for predictions, on the balance of evidence with Literally Triggered having brought undermanned comps the past couple times, it leads me to think that they struggled to get a full 10-man comp, which is itself a disadvantage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to predict Forsaken Empire to win, and then because I'm always wrong, Literally Triggered are actually going to win, and it's going to be a cracking match where they bring an undermanned comp and still do really well. So when this is an absolute banger, you've got me to thank. So thank me later.
No, my points.
My points.
Well, let's see exactly what a banger this is and hand it over to BBP and Brett Thomas in the arena.
Well, I don't know if it's good news or not, but the news is that Literally Triggered has in fact found an 8th pilot. Now, we have seen in the past that if you don't have 10, the less people you have, the better. So we'll see if their Triple Fleet Typhoon Guardian Stabber Fleet Pontifex Vengeance Mauler setup is able to defeat this disgusting laser rush on the minions side.
It is not the minions, it is Forsaken Empire, but they have brought triple Abaddon, triple Oracle, Deacon, Vengeance, Punisher, Inquisitor. So they haven't brought their Logilus setup this time. They have brought a Deacon and Inquisitor, but they've still gone for that triple Abaddon, triple Oracle, huge amount of laser damage comp that we've seen them fly a couple of times before, and they've done really well with.
I've been sabotaged by the overlay. I just like to state for the record, but yeah, that's a lot of laser damage. In fact, that is a disgusting amount of laser damage. And not only that, with these warpins, those Abaddons are sitting in conflag range of most of Literally Triggered's team. So I don't know. This is going to be really rough. We're going to see what happens here. They're already burning straight in, and a ton of drones are out. Heavy drones are out from the Abaddons, which is a little weird.
Sorry, I am so upset by this. Forsaken Empire got really, really lucky at picking one target, and that one target took 2 or 3 seconds longer than everybody else to actually get to speed. So by the time he actually got up to like 600-700, he was already in half armor because the other Typhoons, they double-clicked back first and then locked everybody up. He decided to like lock everybody up, attack his stuff, and then burn backwards. And at this point, he's already in half armor, and they're just vomiting DPS at him.
He's coming back up though, and he took an Oracle down, so he was able to burn away fast enough just to get out of range. It is scram now, it is webbed, it is all that, but that Typhoon Fleet issue was able to burn out of conflag range just long enough to survive. And we're seeing the second Oracle of GZV taking a ton of damage from these Typhoons. Now they should hit a reload soon, which means I'm not sure if they're going to be able to survive long enough. But if they take all 3 of these Oracles out before they hit reload, Literally Triggered has a chance here.
So literally Triggered have swapped off Michael Runner in the Tempest. They've swapped to something else and are now shooting something else. They're hitting the Guardian hard. They bent forward, did a lot of damage to them, and then reloaded into longer range damage once they got in range of the Guardian. The problem being is the Guardian is far enough away and is kiting, so it's managing to mitigate a lot of this damage because Forsaken Empire know that if they don't get everything down now, they're not going to break the fleet Typhoons.
Yeah, that Guardian is on like the bleeding edge of Scorch range right now, and we're seeing literally Triggered starting to work on the backline of Forsaken Empire. This is a really good idea. They're taking out the tackle. If that Guardian gets tackled, it has absolutely no chance of living. But where it is, I think it's like slightly too far away. We're seeing the Scorch shots miss quite a bit here. Scorch is a very strong ammo, but not when you are out of range of it. And Frederick's Oracle is now taking some damage as well. Literally, Triggered is doing a really good job of kind of just taking down and mitigating damage. Just really smart here.
Yeah, what they've also done is they've pushed that Guardian backwards. They've pushed it to like the edge of rep range and then hot swap back onto a Typhoon fleet issue of Michael because they know that Guardian's going to have to bend back in, and if it does, they can shoot it again. That being said, the final Oracle of Frederictonville is finally starting to go down now, but Michael Wright and the Typhoon is in structure. They know if they don't have Guardian reps, they can beat it. And this Oracle is going down, and they might start just trading through a lot of ships.
Yeah, the Oracle does drop, and we're seeing that a Deacon and Inquisitor's not really that much repping. They weren't able to take it down, but this is kind of looking okay-ish for Forsaken Empire. Like, they've lost 3 Oracles, but they still have 3 Abaddons, and that's crazy DPS. We're going to see, though, if they can't keep their Deacon alive, which is webbed and painted and nuded and taking a ton of damage from these rapid missiles, I'm not sure how this is going to go. JA is doing a pretty good job here, but the Deacon does go down. So those heavy missiles, like I said, they apply to everything, and they take the Deacon down without losing that second Typhoon fleet issue.
Yeah, they're applying to the Typhoon fleet issue, and light drones are finally burning back. Light maintenance drones are finally burning back to get on top of that Typhoon fleet issue. They might have to do what they did before, hot swap to the Guardian if they can get close, and then reapply to the Typhoon, because it looks like they've got resist profiles that are just swapping to EM, and all of a sudden the Typhoons start to tank.
Well, and all of the logistics are down on the Forsaken Empire side. Literally, Triggered made an incredibly intelligent call just to take down that Vengeance, lock down that Punisher. At the end of the day, this might turn into 3 Typhoon fleet issues or 2 Typhoon fleet issues kiting Abaddons, and Abaddons are slow. Like, Typhoon fleet issues are very quick for an armor battleship. And we're seeing that, these Abaddons are chasing after him, but they barely have a grapple on Helas, and it's starting to do a little bit of damage there. They are in conflict range. Oh, it's dropping really fast now. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, it looks like as long as the Abaddons stay together, anything that gets within conflag range and manage to get grappled is going down. The Guardian has had to burn so far away because he looked down and realized, oh my god, I'm within 30 kilometers of these Abaddons. I've got to run. So he's burning right back to the Typhoon fleet issue and getting behind him and can't get close to Healer in the Typhoon. But we're seeing Healer's reactive armor shift to EM, and he's starting to take less damage.
Yeah, we've actually seen similar things before from literally Triggered's Guardian pilot. Parkbank has famously been one of the greatest logistics pilots of our little weekend tournaments and kind of pulled things off like this many times before. And I think once again, we're seeing Parkbank just heating his life out. I don't know if he's running like ancillary reps on the top or something, but somehow saving this Typhoon fleet issue up in, it was in 70% structure, and it's surviving. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah, they definitely, now it's resisted, need to swap into something else. They are hitting stuff like a Mauler, but we're seeing jams go on their best pilot in the Abaddon. So that is light jam drones that are on top of him. So it looks like he might get jammed and have to be shooting the drones, which is why some of their damage is going down.
Well, on top of that, I mean, they're going to have some trouble even hitting that Mauler. They're doing some damage, but like, it's a Mauler. It's one of the tankiest cruisers in the game, and they do actually lose an Abaddon without taking anything down. They almost had Gila. They were so close, but I think, like you said, the Guardian got into range, that reactive armor hardener started clicking on, and now 2 Abaddons are going to be trying to do what 3 Abaddons could not, and I'm very worried for Forsaken Empire in this situation.
Yeah, Forsaken Empire have a horde of EC drones on top of them. They've got all the armor repair drones on the Mala, and the Abaddons just aren't tracking anything because they went all in for damage, and the reactive armor hardeners just managed to swing that at the last moment.
And I do want to do a shout out once again, for the first time this weekend, but definitely not for the first time. We have seen the CEO's CEO showing up in the Epitomus Stabber fleet issue, which has been running around helping clear out that back line. It's one of literally Triggered's like sort of flagships in a way. You know what I'm saying? It's done a fantastic job holding things down, doing tackle. I feel like maybe they should have just gone after that because it's not like a Stabber fleet issue is particularly strong, and we are seeing a little bit of damage being applied to it, but it's way too little too late. I mean, look at this Abaddon. Dropping faster than a cruiser is. That's never a good sign.
Yeah, what the two Abaddons are doing is they are sitting and then tackling what's next to them and shooting what's on the other side. So they're tackling what's close to them down with their grapples and then shooting it to hopefully get their tracking up. But with the Rep drones and the Guardians, they just don't have enough. They just don't have enough damage to break through those Guardians reps.
Yeah, I mean, they're not even able to, they're not even scratching the paint on most of these ships. I've seen some damage going out of the Pontifex, massive cloud of rep drones. Good fights are starting to go out in local. The best pilot is hitting structure in just a little bit here. I was really, really good piloting on literally Triggered's part. Yeah, maybe Michael started off a little bit too slow and got caught, but, I think they flew that really, really well, all things considered. I mean, that's the 3 Abaddons, 3 Oracles is something dumb like 6,000 or 7,000 DPS worth of lasers, and they survived through it.
Yeah, it speaks to the true power of heavy armor maintenance bots from these Typhoons, because once they dropped and the reactive kicked in, they just managed to maintain enough EHP that even with the triple Abaddon, triple Oracle on them, they weren't able to break.
And a huge shout out to Parkbank again. Every single time, just fantastic logi piloting. Believe that is a 100 Guardian, which is just it's a difficult ship to fly. Let's be real. It's accelerates slow, but once it gets going, it's pretty strong. We're seeing them kind of take out their last ship. This is the 3rd place match, so this will mean that literally Triggered does take 3rd, which has nothing but bragging rights. But honestly, they've flown really, really well. This is, I think, our 5th or 6th weekend seeing them, and just fantastic job on their side.
Yeah, they did really well here. They had a good comp here with the triple Abaddon, triple Oracles. We've seen this go into certain comps and just vomit DPS. It's kind of an armor version of what the Nighthawks do. It just sits there with a small amount of logi and does a lot of damage very quickly. And unfortunately, seeing some of the problems with the armor version is some of these ships are just a little bit too slow to get on top of everything.
Yeah, they definitely maybe needed to bring a little bit more tackle in the low there, but regardless, it does mean literally Triggered is taking 3rd place, doing 100 to 21, where Forsaken Empire does a fantastic job, but does not end up making it in the end. And with that, we are going to swap back to the studio and prepare ourselves for the best of 3.
We who have seen war will never stop seeing it. In the silence of the night, we will always hear the screams. So this is our story. Wolves amongst strangers.
Did you know that anything can happen in Eldric fleets?
I had a question time, but I couldn't jump. I'm jumping now.
Are you still shaving your balls? Jesus.
Wow, you must have some big balls, you.
Yeah, literally anything.
Well, I have to say there's only one person we can thank for that amazing match, and it's not Parkbank, it's not the CEO's CEO, it's not even Saikakashi, it is our main man, the Basilisk. Thank you so much for putting on your headband and, covering up that third eye so you don't have an advantage in the betting. What was that match, Basilisk? Take us through it.
Oh, it was phenomenal. Both teams showing up, giving it their all. Obviously, there's nothing really left on the line with both these teams knocked out of the winners bracket. They won't be playing in the finals, but it's fantastic to see them both show up. Literally Triggered, managing to find that 8th pilot down the back of the sofa, and bringing back to form. Really, they dropped the rattlesnakes. It worked a little bit, earlier on, but they sort of went back to their standard Typhoon fleets. Park Bank, of course, in the Guardian. The Stabber fleet issue made another excellent appearance. We love to see it. Yeah, a brilliant match. I mean, we saw as well on the other side, Forsaken Empire bringing that full DPS comp with the 3 Abaddons and the 3 Oracles. It's just a huge wall of DPS. But I think the biggest, or one of the biggest weaknesses of that comp is the Oracle is clearly the best attack battlecruiser. It's far and away so good. And they've paired it with 3 Abaddons, which are also really good exclusive gunboats, battleships. The problem with those 6 ships together is they're doing a single damage type. So when you've got reactive armor hardeners on all 3 of those Typhoon fleet issues, you see they chunk through them to about 50% armor, and then they just stop doing any damage because those reactive armor hardeners are cycled so heavily into EM Therm that the damage is just it drops off pretty significantly once that reactive gets stacked up, and there's no way for them to reset it. They haven't really got anything else they can do. So if they can't alpha through, I guess they can stop and put different type drones on it. But again, you're still just saying let's do more DPS in a minute by stopping DPS now. It's not a great position to be in. So if they can't break it before that reactive cycles, they're in a lot of trouble, and they ended up in quite a lot of trouble.
There is one thing you can do with lasers. If you fire your long-range ammo, they are EM-based, whereas Conflag is 50-50 EM and thermal. So they could have changed the Scorch, yes, I think it's Scorch, for a while, as well as the fire explosive for a bit, and then switch back to Conflag, but I don't think it would have been enough.
Yeah.
The reactive still would have reacted too much, too quickly. Honestly, I think the loss there, for me, was the Oracles right at the start. They super committed to that first kill. Oracle could have played a bit more safe. I mean, yes, the Stabber fleet would have hunted them down anyway, so whatever. But they kind of went a little too aggressive for that first frag and didn't get it. It didn't pay off. The moment that didn't pay off, the match was already over. It was just going to take a little bit longer to get there.
Yeah, in general, I'm not really a fan of triple attack battlecruisers. I feel like for the point investment, if you bring 3 of them, you're bringing 30 points in just DPS and not much tank, which, I mean, they bring a reasonable amount of DPS, sure. But when you bring 3 of them, you're sort of sacrificing the ability to protect them in any capacity. You know, you can't really screen for them. They need to either run away at the start of the match, in which case they're not doing anything anyway, or they stay in range and potentially just die. So I feel like triple ABC isn't really the way to go. I feel like they're best used sprinkled in on something. Oh, we got 15 points left. We need some more damage. We've got a battlecruiser slot. Yeah, let's stick an Oracle in. I think bringing 3 of them it's not great most of the time.
Yeah.
All right. We have the pilots in system here, though, so let's get ready to talk about these finals. Just in case you're not aware, those of you viewing or just joining in now, we are about to see a best of 3 grand finals, and this is for all of the marbles, because whoever wins this match is going to be walking away with a one-of-a-kind Alliance Tournament frigate, the first one to be handed out yet in the world. And, this is going to be an insane ship. The Gamma itself is already so powerful, and the Alliance Tournament ships are just going to stack on top of that. Can you give us some idea of what it's like to fly an Alliance Tournament ship, BBP?
Yeah, I think this is the one case where, like, there's so many other people that we could get there. Like, we should summon Casper out here because he's flown, I think, like almost all of them. But I've only flown them in the tournament. It's a little bit stressful, but at the end of the day, every single tournament match is stressful. So they're pretty cool, though. They do lots and lots of damage. They do lots and lots of tank. They're basically just like, imagine if you had a tier 2 ship and then you like bumped it up another level, beyond that. So I think a good example. What's up? Well, not a tier 3. Yeah, like a Cambion is a Hawk that's better in every single way. Like you get ships that's like, oh, it's like a Drake, but it's a frigate as a Drake. Or you get Mirachas, which is like, it's a super ridiculously good Munin. Things like that. I'm trying to think of a good ways to talk about it without being too crazy. But they're amazing. They cost hundreds of billions of ISK. Once they go down, there's a limited supply of them. We're not entirely sure how the prize pool is going to be for this year yet, I don't think. We've been saying that there's going to be 50 plus 1, which the 1 being the reward for this thing, but that is kind of an assumption, right? Or have we confirmed that it's going to be 50?
I think we have confirmed it's going to be 50, but we'll have to wait for see if CCP Catalia disagrees with us in the chat. Anyway, guys.
That's true. It is unconfirmed. Perfect. Yeah. It's still a big deal.
Solid
though.
maybe.
It's a solid
Yeah,
maybe.
for sure. It's a huge deal to both of these teams vying for one of these ships. The value is just insane. Obviously, they won't receive it right immediately. It's not going to be in their inventory tomorrow. It'll be awarded after the end of the actual tournament, when the winning teams get theirs as well. But obviously, the prestige of having just one of these is incredible. And these teams are surely, unless they've got balls of absolute steel, every 20 pilots on this grid right now have got to be absolutely shaking, because this could be the biggest match they've ever flown in their life so far.
Yeah, with the pilots on grid, let's not even worry about predictions. Let's hand it over to the arena and get talking about this match, because this is going to be amazing stuff.
Alrighty then, welcome to the arena, boys. We have a wild match for you today. Minions versus Platinum Sensitivity. Balgorn double fleet issue. Tempests for Minions. Oh my god, I think this is the first bomber we've seen in a while too.
Yeah, and there's mowers on the grid as well. This is a real interesting one we've got here. Like you said, we got the Balgon, so Platinum Sensitivity Minions opting for this triple battleship comp with the Balgon and 2 Tempest fleets, warping in very close. Platinum Sensitivity have gone for 2 mowers who've warped in at 0. We got those Purifiers, like you mentioned. But Platinum Sensitivity otherwise opting for a fairly conventional comp, the likes of which we've seen before, with Scorpion Navy, the 2 Sleipnirs, a Basilisk coming out this time.
Yeah.
That I'm repping them with the headband. They're repping me with the Basilisk. Love to see it, bit of teamwork. And in return, I'm going to predict the Minions to win. Of course, they will now lose.
That is a lot of points in that Basilisk. We'll have to see how that goes for sure. If that Balgon gets nearby, it's going to pretty much turn it off. But this is going to be a very interesting match. Those Fleet Tempests can actually project a pretty good distance, definitely more than the Sleipnirs can. And of course, the Navy Scorp, being the Navy Scorp that it is a brick of anger. Really curious.
Yeah, so I'm just curious about. I'm worried a little bit for the Minions in terms of damage. I mean, this Balgon obviously has long-range webs and newts, so he'll probably be able to cause a lot of trouble for the Basilisk and these Sleipnirs to stop them getting on top of him. But I mean, there's not much damage outside of those 3 battleships. They've got 2 Command Destroyers, 2 Deacons, a Sentinel, a Heretic, and that Purifier. I'd imagine the Orthrus and the 2 Sipples should be able to make mincemeat of the Purifier. So then it's just going to be those 3 battleships left, and I'm not sure. They might struggle for damage and application.
We're both sleeping on that Sentinel from Minions. We're going to see what that guy gets up to. He could really flip this match around. You see immediately paints and tracking ships on the Orthrus. It looks like the Orthrus is going to be the first primary if they can kill it. Webs are on Swipples as well. Swipples are going in for tackles. Like, it is already gone wild in the first seconds of the match.
Yeah, I'm not too big on the Sentinel. I think the Sentinel, you spend 2 more points for it compared to a Crucifier, and it gets, I think, better newts. It gets strong newts, but the problem is it doesn't have that much range, so it has to put itself in quite a dangerous position. Maybe it can if the Basilisk gets capped by the Balgon, then the Sentinel could sit on top of him with small newt cycling and stop him up. But this Tempest fleet issue of Zardos Gothic is just getting absolutely chunked straight through.
That's not looking good.
They don't even care for the reps. He's just going absolutely... He's just dying in a fire, in a flame of... I don't know what. He's just absolutely melting. They traded for the Swivel. I'm lost for words. This Tempest fleet is just getting obliterated.
And these things are not light on tank. They are thick ships, and
Yeah.
it's gone.
And
Half,
the bomber's
like,
going
about
down
a
as
third
well.
of their DPS is gone.
And that's their DPS is just wiped off the field. They've only got the Tempest fleet issue left for more damage. The Balgon's probably not going to have too much. It might be like a 3-gun, 4-gun Balgon, but he's not going to be pumping out too much. And this second Tempest fleet now is taking absolute chunks.
Wait, hold on. Is that
Platinum
Brett, is that true?
Strong.
Apparently, the bomber bombed off all of his team's Logi drones. Is that true?
Good.
Jeez, that's disgusting if true. Very disgusting. Oh, Tempest did it. All right, smart bombs. I did not catch that. I was looking elsewhere, but that's brutal. Second Tempest fleet is now already going down. Look how many ECM drones are on that Tempest fleet.
Yeah, he's real struggling right now. It's absolute dishonor. No, the ECM drones are actually on the Deacons.
I think they
It
just
was
switched.
just Deacons
They were on the
sat next
Tempest
to
fleet a moment ago.
fleet. But those Deacons have just got so many ECM bots on them, they haven't got a hope in hell of repping this Tempest, and the second fleet Tempest is going to go down, and there's just going to be no damage left. Platinum Sensitivity coming out with an absolute barnstorm, and there's no holds barred in this. They just come in, all guns blazing, right out the gate, and just smack the Minions upside the face. And obviously this is a best of 3. The Minions can throw a counterpunch, but this is a strong start. This is a very, very strong start.
Yeah, I've been loving watching what Platinum's been doing over the last couple of weeks. This is beautiful to watch. But yeah, going after the big ships to delete the DPS. At this point, there is effectively zero things the minions can do. There is no DPS left except for maybe a bit of a Balgon and whatnot. There's no real way to kill things. They're just done. Like, you kill off those 2 ships, as you said, all the DPS is in those 2 ships plus a Purifier. Once those are gone, you're done. And Platinum already saw that and killed them. They should have been ready for these Tempests to be primary.
Yeah, I'm now the minions 1-0. Well, I'm speaking just less than 3 minutes into this match, but I mean,
come on, we both know.
Looking what's on
We
field,
don't
that it's over, so it gives us a little bit of time to talk about what's next for this series. But the minions now down 1-0 in this series. If they lose the next match, it's over. They're done. But are they going to revert back to the Nightmare comp? That's the question for me, because the Nightmare comp proved so strong, but they inexplicably sort of switched it up here. They've opted for this Balgorn focused comp, which has just absolutely not worked at all. And Platinum sensitivity, they've brought this comp before with the Sleipnirs, the Orthruses, the Svipples, all these kind of ships are just insane at melting through small end. And the bomber died, the Deacons couldn't rep anything with all the ECM drones. The Tempest fleet issues, once they're dead, there's no damage left.
I'm curious to talk about this late, like with the guys after. Do you think that Basilisk did effectively anything in this match?
He hasn't had to. There's just so little damage. There's just so little damage left once those Tempest fleet. And it's all credit to Platinum sensitivity. It's good target calling because they've recognised, well, there's only 2 DPS ships on the field. If we can just kill them, then the rest is just sitting to be it's free kills for the taking.
So what you're saying is we didn't need the Basilisk at all. Just bring another DPS ship. Who needs Logi, bro?
Who needs me, dude? I'm out.
Yeah. Who
I'm
are you
totally
again?
redundant.
No, I'm kidding. But yeah, that Bassi, they brought this really powerful Logi ship and didn't even need it. They just killed these 3 DPS ships, and that was the end of the game. And the team's being picked apart now. Obviously, the match is over. But honestly, bravo to Platinum. That's 1-0 for them. We'll see what the next match brings as we wait for this Ponty to explode.
Yeah,
is he not moving? He's not even moving. He's just sitting dead still.
Yeah, he's awaiting his fate. He knows what's coming. So wow, that's incredible. So Platinum sensitivity are now 1 match away from winning this fabled AT prize frigate.
Also, I just want to say as well, Hornet ECs. And with that, we're going to send it back to the studios.
Just at the start of the feeder round, can you imagine just initiative just losing?
Fucking ram them, motherfucker! We're gonna take down Dark Shines! Dark Shines is gonna get his cut off!
Alright, the support.
Hello guys, welcome back to the studio. What an opening match there for this series. This is going to be an intense one. I can't wait to see this happen again, but we now have a little bit of a longer wait. We like to give the teams a little bit more time to think this over because this is a best of 3. There's a lot of strategy that comes into play now, a lot of thinking. There are a lot of we don't have the custom bans in between matches, but there's only so many compositions we can bring. As we were discussing in that last match, this was a return to sort of a normal standard comp that we've seen the minions bring before. These sorts of armor, heavy control comps are what they want to do, but they weren't able to execute in this time. They weren't able to distribute the rush of Platinum sensitivity properly, and they were able to concentrate their DPS all onto one ship and just run away with the game. BBP, how could they have executed differently there?
That's a really good question. And I think that the only possible thing that they might have been able to do is, as soon as the match starts, you have your Balgorn just run away as fast as possible and web down those 2 Sleipnirs, because, once they get on top of you, I mean, Sleipnirs are battleships, DPS wise. They don't look like battleships. They look like battle cruisers, but they tank like battleships and they do DPS as battleships. So, let's be real, they're battleships. And other than that, I mean, I don't really know because, like, you guys were talking about the Sentinel earlier, and Sentinels are cool, but yeah, you can newt a Sleipnir out and then it's still shooting you. You can newt a Orthrus out and it's still shooting you. You can newt a Scorpion Navy issue out and it's still shooting you. Like, so you're not going to stop the DPS. You can't really tracking disrupt down Sleipnirs because they're using autocannons, so they're still on top of you shooting you, and you can't really track and disrupt down a Scorpion Navy issue because it's shooting cruise missiles at a battleship. It's going to apply 100% no matter what. So I think they kind of just got countered there. And we were talking about before too, just, to sort of segue. There's a screenshot that was posted in our production chat where there was 50 EC300s on the field from Platinum Sensitivity. So Wingnut was saying it's the worst module in the game and needs to be deleted.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I want to make it clear for everyone in the chat. When you have the option between 80 DPS and the ability to jam, what are you going to pick?
Can you explain a little bit about what makes the EC300 so powerful at a mechanical level, Wingnut?
Sure, I can give you even one more to make them even worse on battleships. So, ECM drones, of course, like any ECM, they jam you. Fair enough. Now, here's the little dark secret about them that are brutally painful for battleships. It's meant to be that you get one jam cycle, then you get 20 seconds where they can't jam you. Then obviously, you lock them up. But here's the thing: it takes you about 20 seconds as a battleship to lock an ECM drone. At which point, then the next drone will jam you, and you have to start that all over again. So ECM drones can actually perma-jam battleships. And again, it is the option of 80 DPS or bringing the ability to jam your target. Again, in which situation are you going to pick 80 DPS? You're not. They're that disgusting. They need to be removed. Please, CCP, for the love of God, remove them. Oh my God, I'm getting triggered already.
All right, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm not sure if that won or lost in the match in any way, shape, or form, but it definitely shut down any of the abilities for them to counter, though, right? Like if you stick, 30 EC drones on their Balgorn, what's he going to do? Nothing. Like, it's just to sit there and be like, oh, this is cool. I know that this drone is supposed to have a 5% chance to jam me, but there's 30 of them. So, as good as we are at math, that means you have a 150% chance to be jammed. That's not actually how the mechanic works, but it's a good way to describe it. I mean, Platinum Sensitivity's team, they had massive DPS, and then they also ran just full EC drones. I don't know if the EC drones won or lost in the match, but it definitely helps.
I think the minions just sort of, I don't know, they seem to have, with that first match, I feel like they sort of threw away our kind of conception of what the meta is. Platinum Sensitivity brings something that is very meta at the moment. They brought the Sleipnirs, the Navy Scorp, all these kind of shield rush comps with Orthruses and stuff like that can project. Sleipnirs that can get on top of you. Command ships, obviously, just in general, as we've talked about, very, very strong. And the minions brought this kind of newt control comp with a Sentinel and a Geddon and 2 Tempest Fleet issues, and it just doesn't seem to be what's in vogue right now. It doesn't seem particularly good, and I'm just questioning why they switched it up from the Nightmare comp. The Nightmare comp was working so well, and it's the best of 3. So even if you bring the tried and tested Nightmare comp and it doesn't work, you've still got another match. Whereas they've opted to bring the untested thing in the first match, whereas now they're sort of back against the wall. Maybe they say, okay, we bring the Nightmare comp in the second match, but Platinum Sensitive has already seen it. They already know what the Nightmare comp is. You save your surprise for when you're backed against the wall. You don't bring your surprise out first, because if your surprise is untested and it loses, then you're kind of screwed because you've shown everything you've got before you've won anything. So yeah, I'm just a little bit puzzled as to why they opted to ditch the Nightmare that was working so well and go for this seemingly out of meta Balgorn new control comp.
Yeah, Brett Thomas, though, put us a little bit in the minds of the victors of that match. Platinum Sensitivity, they're now 1-0 up. All they have to do is win this next match, and they are victorious. There's no bracket reset or anything like that. It's game over for their opponents. What position does that put you in? Do you feel like you have the freedom to try out some sort of experimental comp, or do you just bring the same thing and make your opponents show that they can beat it? What would be your approach there, BTT?
So, Platinum Sensitivity have brought out a type of comp that we've seen variations of, but what we saw there looks like the kind of the comp you'd land on after you've spent a couple of weeks scrimming. It looks like something that people have saved for the actual tournament. It's well rounded. It doesn't have any weaknesses to many things. It does a lot of things really well. The difference with the Scope Navy having cruise, the Sleipnirs having autocannon to give you that little bit of variable range. The cruise can still apply. And as well, a horde of EC drones. They've brought a comp, and well, while we've seen it dominate, we haven't seen what exactly it can do. It's been flown really, really well, and in Platinum Sensitivity's position, they've brought a good comp and just dumpstered the minions. Because the minions wasn't prepared for something like that, they can just bring the exact same comp because they know it hasn't really been stressed. The minions can't do much to counter that. Hey, hell, they can go something really heavy in one direction and bring something like Vindicators or some like high type of damage, but the Platinum Sensitivity will probably practice this enough that if that is brought, they know how to fly it. So they just need to throw down the gauntlet and say, we've brought the comp. It's now up to you to win this. You have to climb the mountain of beating this good comp that we've brought. It doesn't have any weaknesses, so you're just going to have to outfly us. And that puts them in a great position of not having to stress about things, not having to rethink. All they need to do is fall back on their practice and nail the application of it, nail all the stuff they've practiced, and do that really well.
Yeah, so one of the things we should also probably talk about is the fact that these teams both progressed through the feeders into the actual Alliance tournament as well. This open series originally started as sort of a practice for the Alliance tournament before developing into its own circuit. And these two teams have really shown up. You know, they haven't really competed under these names in any previous tournaments. Platinum Sensitivity, as we've talked about previously, is effectively a Japanese national team. They have a large array of pilots from many, many different alliances. Let me quickly bring up my list of all of them for us. Yeah, they've got Siege Green, Samurai Sold Out, the actual Alliance Platinum Sensitivity, a Mad Tea Party, and they've even brought in completely unaffiliated pilots that aren't even parts of corporations into this team. They are pulling from absolutely everyone they possibly can to make the best team, and that's just amazing. What is kind of assembling a team like that like?
I mean, it's a ton of work. Like, you know, I want to say huge shout out to CCP for allowing that to happen this year. Previously, you know, I think even Spectre Fleet, they had to make a Spectre Fleet alliance for the Alliance tournament, where this year we have that super cool mercenary rule, but it allows them to just, you know, they have to headhunt people. There's a lot of trust that goes into this. You have to find people that are willing to commit to it. And, you know, it's a huge amount of work. And, you know, Mark Bridges, who I'm like 99% sure is the captain of Platinum Sensitivity, has been doing just a crazy job. It's super cool to see a, you know, sort of a Japanese language alliance tournament team, because that's one of the groups that you don't really expect to be playing EVE as much. Like, I think back in the day there was like Caldarius Alliance was really the Japanese language group, and other than that, you know, we've got like the Russians, we've had like the Chinese groups, there's French groups out there, but I don't know, it's just super cool. It's a ton of work on his part. I'm really glad that they're doing so well and they're kind of getting the recognition they get, and potentially, depending on who wins this next match, they might be getting a prize ship too. So, you know, huge shout out to them.
And just a reminder that it is now, of course, 6, 7 a.m. in Japan. So these guys have been up through the night flying their internet spaceships. So mad props to them, especially, of course, even more so if they win this next match. This is an incredible performance.
I know their pain.
I'm sporting my Jitsu headband partly because I made a bet that the top 4 teams, that Tuskers, Hydra, Vidra, and Templis, wouldn't all bring Barghest flagships. I thought some of them would mix it up. They all brought Barghests, so I'm wearing my Jitsu headband. But also, I'm supporting Platinum Sensitivity. I went to Japan a couple of years ago. It was bloody fantastic. I recommend everyone, obviously, when this whole COVID thing, you know, don't really want to talk about that, but, you know, it's still ongoing. When that ends, get your asses to Japan. It's bloody awesome. And yeah, go Platinum Sensitivity. Give them hell.
All right, well, we have the teams landing on the grid here, so we're going to throw it to the throw it to the arena shortly. But let's get our predictions out of the way. Black Pirate, who's coming away with the win here?
I am going with Platinum Sensitivity because I believe in them.
Wingnut?
Yeah, I'm with him on that one. Platinum Sensitivity have some great parts, some great flying, some great comps. They've got this, I hope.
Right, Thomas?
I'm going to go with Platinum Sensitivity just because of how well they executed that first comp. They've put the gauntlet out, and I think they've practiced enough that they could win this, regardless of what the minions bring.
And finally, Bazza, who is getting the curse today?
Oh, well, I really want Platinum Sensitivity win, and I hope I don't curse them because they've been fantastic. They're in such a strong position being 1-0 up in the series. I can see what's on grid. Thankfully, apologies, they've decided not to mix it up, which I think is a really, really smart call. So now, we just have to see what happens, but good luck to both teams.
All right, well, let's hand over to the arena and get ready to watch what could be the potentially last match of the series. Welcome to the arena here. It is myself and Black Pirate taking this match, and we have the one, the only, the Vurinek in a Nightmare. This is going to be an amazing matchup. This is a matchup that we've seen a couple of times already in this tournament. Heavy Shield versus this aggro control setup from the minions. What do you think is going to go down here, and what's the keys to this matchup now, BBP? We've seen it a couple of times.
Well, we've seen this matchup several times, but like I said earlier today, I think Platinum Sensitivity has an opportunity here to play this a little bit different. And a big important thing is we have 2 MOAs sitting at 0. So MOAs, kind of a weird ship. You don't really see them that much anymore, but back in the day, they used to be known as one of the tankiest little cruiser doctrines in the game. And if these 2 are heavy tackled, they might have an opportunity to just ram in there and grab something and kill it really quickly. We'll see how they play, though, as the match is starting, and the MOAs are already dropping a ton of EC drones and ramming straight in.
Yep, here we go. It's going to be, looks like the Jackdaws are going for the counter screen. You can see they're burning in ahead of the Nightmare. The Nightmare is pulling off to the side slightly. He's trying to make sure that he doesn't get caught by these MOAs on the approach, because if that happens, he's going to be in a world of hurt. You can see here, Nosuko, though, the MOA, already taking a ton of damage as he just lays Conflag into him, muting off his hardeners as well. This is so much DPS from the minions.
Yeah, Nosuko actually pulled back, and I think they might be stabilizing now that they're out of range. The Basilisk is doing lots and lots of work. All of those EC drones got sniped down by the Skybreaker, and it looks like that Minions is going after the other MOA now. So I don't know, like Platinum Sensitivity needs to push in there, but I think they might have pushed in a little bit too hard. We're going to see, though, this Nightmare is actually doing a lot of damage to the MOA. There are newts on it, but the Nightmare has been scrammed and webbed. Now, the scram isn't going to do that much because of an afterburner, but the web might be really huge here. Geritoro and the Swipple taking lots of damage, though, here.
Bazza, they listen to you. They are shooting the Nightmare. We're going to get a tank test here, and it's going to be a question of whether they can take that control off the field before it does too much damage. They've rushed in here. They've got to apply that massive attack bar. They've got to fill it up completely and keep the pressure on the minions here. If they let them breathe, even for a second here, there's going to be so much havoc. You can see the 2 MOAs in half shields here. The Basilisk is having to choose which one gets to live for slightly longer as those healers and the Claymores chew up against it, whilst the Nightmare shoots the other, and it's a lot of damage here. But the Nightmare now is 20%, it's 10% shield. It's not holding.
It might hold now, though, with that MOA going down. We'll see, though. There's a lot of rep drones on this Nightmare, and they might be the thing that keeps him alive. But these 2 Sleptors are doing so much DPS to it. And we're also seeing smart bombs coming out from the Scorpion Navy issue, getting all of those rep drones off this Nightmare. If this Nightmare dies, I mean, we've been seeing it be the key of this fleet for so long, and I think it might go down. That being said, Platinum Sensitivity is losing so much of their backline right here, but the Nightmare's does drop.
Oh god, that's brutal here for the minions. They don't have a lot of DPS left on the field. You can see how much that's taken out, but so has happened with Platinum Sensitivity. There's ships being lost by both sides here, and now it looks like both teams are going for the tackle war. You can see there the Zvipple going down, and the Scalpel is also taking a ton of DPS here. They've still got 1 piece of tackle alive. They need to keep it alive for as long as they can, Platinum Sensitivity. That's what they need to apply their DPS and win out this match.
and the Stipple has swapped into defensive and seems to actually be holding, but Platinum Sensitivity doesn't really have anything tackled on the minion side. Minions was very, very smart, and they all pulled out when that Nightmare went down. However, Merlin has been webbed down. We're going to see, I think Platinum's going to try and take some of the logistics here. This is still very much in play as the minions have a full kiting team, and none of their core is tackled with the exception of that Scalpel that is still going at 700 MS with an Afterburner on.
Yeah, look at Nightcap, though. The Orthrus, he's potentially caught out of position there. Is being guidance disrupted as well. It looks like they're trying to take out things that could potentially endanger the tackle war. Then, no. FGI, too, in the Basilisk. He's been caught. He's going down. I'm not sure what the hell happened there, but he is bleeding armor, bleeding structure. One more rep. It's not enough. He's down. That's a
he just got soloed by Gila drones. Yeah, it was like Gila drones and the rapid light. So he wasn't even tackled. He just got taken out. So, that's huge. Like, look at that damage. And now there's no logistics on the Platinum Sensitivity side. But again, they still have that Navy Scorpion and those 2 Sleipnirs, which they could maybe get something done here. I'm just not seeing any damage being applied.
Suddenly, the minions have absolutely everything left to play for. We might see a match 3 in this grand finals as Nightcap goes into structure. This is looking like a brutal rout here from the Rip minions. They shot the Nightmare. They took the control off the field, but it wasn't enough. The tackle war was won, and that was all they needed to walk through the backlines of Platinum Sensitivity.
All that being said, the Gilas are starting to get tackled down a little bit here. Like, we need to see these Sleipnirs get in there. They need to stop trying to take Scalpels down. Apply that 1000 DPS onto something. Like, you're not hitting anything. Just get in there and tackle something down and kill it. Come on, guys.
Wow, what a match here. You can see just chunks getting taken out of these Sleipnirs. It's going to be a bit of a slow crawl here to the end, but unless the minions really mess this up, they've got it in the bag. Everything on a Platinum Sensitivity's team is untackled, but it just doesn't matter. They don't have the DPS. They don't have the EHP. The minions, they're rolling away with this.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't think that they really have that much chance here. They finally got the Claymore of Anne tackled down, but like at what cost? You've lost your entire backline and your Sleipnir's, pretty much dead already. So we'll see if they can do anything here. I'm not really, I'm not feeling too positive about it, that Scorpion being disrupted, but we're seeing some pretty good self-tank on this Sleipnir's part. I don't know. We need to see some damage coming out from them. Like, this is still kind of in play. Like, I don't know. It's hard to say.
They've still got all their top end, but they've got no way of putting it to use. Then again, we are seeing that red bar creep upwards. They are managing to apply a little bit here. And Anakaras is going into, he's taken a third of his shields down. But Cantalaquaris, he's in armor. The Purifier also in armor. This is it's going to take some real exceptional piloting here for them to pull it out of the bag.
I think we've hit the reload on that Sleipnir, so it's probably going to go down. Yeah, there it goes. But the guidance disruptor on the Navy Scorpion not really applying all that much damage, even though that looks so strong on paper. And it looks like the minions is going after the other Sleipnir now, which will be able to tank for a little bit. But this Claymore is just having no issues whatsoever, just holding here. And yeah, I don't know. Platinum Sensitivity going after those 2 Scalpels. They spent so much time trying to take it down while they lost their entire back end, and that Logi pick by the minions was so good.
Yeah, that really turned the match, and it's just unfortunate. FGI2, he's been an amazing logistics pilot all throughout the tournament, but all it takes is one mistake. One healer, one Jackdaw, one Skybreaker, getting past your screening frigates, or in the case of Platinum Sensitivity, the screening frigates that no longer existed due to catching a bad case of light missile to the face.
Yeah, and we are seeing kind of one of the issues we see. Usually we see cruise or rapid heavies on these Scorpion Navy issues. This is a cruise Scorpion Navy issue, and it is having trouble applying to anything here, unfortunately. At this point, Mark Bridges has activated a micro jump drive unit. I think he is just going to bounce out of the arena here. Deny them the kill by boundarying, which will mean that we will not have to wait 2 minutes for the ship to go down. Mark Bridges does go down by boundarying at 142 kilometers, and this is now a series. It's a 1-1. Minions wins 100-23, and we're going to see one more match with these guys.
Yep, let's head back to the studio and get ready for it.
Pew, 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 pew. Pew, pew, pew.
So the plan is that we execute a star formation with perfect 90-degree angles. You need to heat 2 cycles, not 3, 2. Spipple's web, but the Spipple's web, Spipple's web. And we need do we need missiles or is that Spipple's? And we need thermal drone.
HighSec Buyback offers 90% JITA anywhere in HighSec. Simply go to highsec.evebuyback.com, appraise your items, create a contract, and get paid quickly.
I'm not gonna lie, guys, I think I left half of my voice box in that arena. What a match there between Platinum Sensitivity and the Minions, back and forth, things turning on individual plays, amazing work from both tackle, logistics, and of course Veronek in that nightmare, which he ended up getting shot as you predicted, but it didn't go well for the shooting team, BBP. How were the Minions able to pull that match back?
I feel like Platinum had it. I think their plan was we're going to kill the Nightmare, and then they hadn't really figured out what was happening next, right? So they took the Nightmare down, and then they kind of just hung out there, lost their entire backline. Like the Minions kept their cool. They're like, okay, well, we lost our Nightmare. Whatever, we still have 9 ships. Where Platinum's, they killed the Nightmare, and they're like, so I guess we'll take down something else now? It felt like that. Like there wasn't a plan. There wasn't a follow through, I guess.
Yeah, so Platinum's comp was pretty much designed to be attacked, like to be chased. For them to come to us, the mowers grab them, we then kill target. But they then fed everything into the Nightmare because they realized the enemy's not going to do that. They're gonna go the other way. We have to go catch them. Well, let's go catch the Nightmare first. That's the big threat. And then when they did so, they fed both mowers to that Nightmare. It took a little while to get started, and then after that, it's like, okay, as you said, what now? We have to chase this comp that's already run away with Sleipnirs and not much else. What do we do? And that was, as you said, the part 2 of the plan didn't really seem to exist.
So
At that
the
point,
thing
it was
with
GG. That Bassy popped.
Yeah, the Sleipnirs weren't really held down, though. I feel like they could have actually got them in and done something with them, and they just didn't. But, you're totally right. Like, the Bassy just totally died, and I think Platinum, like, their Logi died to Gila drones and heavy missiles, and they weren't able to take the Scalpels down at all either. So I think we saw sort of the difference. Logi frigates, they don't rep as much, but dang, they're so good at surviving sometimes.
So what they did at the very start as well is as they were rushing in to take the Nighthawk, they fed a lot of the ECM drones in at the start of the match that just chased down the opponents. So the Minions pulled back, let the Nightmare die, cleared all of the light drones, and killed the tackle. So at that point, they lost their ECM drones for nothing. It would have been, in my opinion, better if once the Nightmare would have gone down, they'd have gotten something else. Once the Scalpels pulled in, to then drop the ECM drones to jam out the Scalpels in a critical moment, instead of at the start just piecemeal feeding them in as they bent down the Nightmare, as they bent down to tackle the Nightmare.
Yeah,
what do you like a bit of time to get to the Nightmare? Like honestly, that comp would do really well with just screaming in, but they took I think it was like about a minute till they finally got the Nightmare held down, started shooting it. At which point they were getting shot at the entire time. So I feel like there was a little bit too much time, like gap between getting the Nightmare and engaging it. You know what I mean? And then killing it.
They did.
I think what Brett said could be right. I think I wasn't really paying attention to the ECM drones specifically, but if they did fire all their ECM drones and lose them, they may possibly identify that misplay, and say, let's run it back and try and do it better this time. But I think just on the balance of things, this series is in such an interesting place right now with both of these teams at match point. Both of these teams have fielded their sort of pseudo flagship comp, where this is their special comp. This is our Nightmare comp. We love the Nightmare comp. This is our SNI and Sleipnir comp. We love this comp. Both these teams have fielded their comp, and they've both won with it, one game each. And the Minions obviously at such a disadvantage before that second match, having their backs against the wall. Now at a huge advantage, they know that their Nightmare comp, they feel like their Nightmare comp is able to beat that SNI comp that they lost to in the first time. So now the onus is on Platinum Sensitivity to either play the match better with that SNI and Sleipnir comp, or come up with something to beat the Nightmare comp that the Minions are surely going to bring again. Or maybe they mix it up entirely and bring a drone comp. I don't know, but this is in such an interesting place for this final match.
That's actually my bet. I suspect Platinum might bring their drone comp again, but then again, minions might expect the same thing, so Platinum might not do it.
Yeah, this is the moment where you got to bring something. Like, screw all of this. Like, oh, we got to hide our comps for the real match. Like, this, you got a tournament ship on the line. This is like at least 150 to 300 billion ISK. You know,
and
bring out your good comp. Bring out your amazing setup. Like, we know what the minions can bring. I feel like it's not that difficult to counter that, but you really need to start like bringing out that stuff that you're like nobody's seen this before. It's like, okay, well, now's your time. Like, show us your hand.
Have you got aces? Please let us know.
Yeah, right.
And of course, there's been a bunch of interesting choices in terms of ships, but one of the ones that I think is most interesting is just the prevalence of T3Ds that both teams are using. Obviously, that's something where you can gain quite a lot out of micro due to the T3D modes and just the sheer amount of modules that you can press. But one of the things that I found quite interesting is that Platinum Sensitivity seems to have a predilection for the jackdaws, whereas the minions have a predilection for the jackdaws, whereas Platinum Sensitivity seems to have a predilection for the Zwippels. Can you go into what the differences between those ships are and what they provide to a team, Basilisk?
So I feel like the Zwippel is best used as a sort of heavy tackler, sort of like an upgraded Ramjag, I suppose. I mean, they're fast, they're pretty tanky, they do lots of damage once they get on top of like scalpels or hyenas. If it gets on top of it, if you've got 3 Zwippels and it gets on top of a hyena, the hyena's dead. No questions about it. So I think the Zwippel is best sort of used aggressively in some regards. You know, you want to rush in, you want to tackle something down, you want to melt through small ships. The Zwippel is the choice, whereas the Jackdaw is a little bit more reserved, I think. I think the Jackdaw, I think it's Bart that prefers rocket Jackdaw, maybe, but I think the light missile Jackdaw is really exceptional. It's far better than any other ship in that class, for my opinion. It gets so much range, so much damage, so much projection. You can't really jam it. It's still kind of fast. It's still very tanky. It's got 5 mids. It's got so much going for it. So I feel the Jackdaw is more sort of DPS focused when you want to sort of kite around and play reserved, whereas the Zwippel is when you want to go balls to the wall all in, and you've got Sleipnirs with you. You need to rush in as well and get something tackled down. And we saw earlier the Zwippels were maybe a little bit too fast for their own good in one of those matches. I can't remember which match it was, but they were able to rush in and get on top of something and die pretty quickly. But if you can get them synced up, if you can get the Zwippels going in, the Sleipnirs arriving on the scene a couple seconds later, and everything's ready for them to start hitting, they're very, very effective.
I feel like the very strong point of the Jackdaw is if your triple Jackdaws survive, it's around about 700 damage for the 3 of them that applies perfectly to everything. We see a lot of these high damage numbers, and it's not really a problem with the Jackdaws because they're light missiles and can get bonuses to it with paints. They apply perfectly to everything. They're one of the best ships for sniping the logistics frigates once they're split up.
And they're more liable to survive. Like, the thing is, like, another way of looking at it is kind of like comparing an Oracle to a Talos. An Oracle can sit as far as it likes and shoot you. Same with the Jackdaw. Whereas a Zwippel has to go in and do something. It has to be aggressive. At which point, you know, it's right in front of you, just the same way a Talos has to be. Same thing as well. Like, you know, if you consider like a Thorax or Caracal, it's one can be wherever it wants to be and do its job no matter what for the entire match. And as you say, if it survives and it has a better chance of doing so by being at the back, it can affect a match massively. Whereas a Zwippel, essentially, it's got one moment. It's got its one time to shine. Go in there and either tackle or kill a target. Sometimes they can sweep the back line, but generally it's your one and done ship. Sorry. Whereas again, the Jackdaw can spend all day. As long as it stays at the back, it can keep shooting, unless it gets taken out by something. And it can also still function as tackle if you need it to. But let's face it, Jackdaw's not really a tackle ship. You're really panicking when your Jackdaw is your tackle ship.
Absolutely.
The Jackdaws do very well at, due to the fact that they can apply their damage at such range, they do a very good job at locking something down outside of combat, of like tackling something and then still being tackling something 30-40 kilometers away from the fight and still being able to apply its damage to the main battle ball that's happening.
Exactly that.
Whereas a Zwippel tackles something and then sits there just going plink, 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 and can only shoot that chip it's tackled, which in terms of like damage that helps win the match is not very high.
One of the big difference between these teams is the fact that one of them seems to be favouring logistics frigates and the other seems to be favouring T2 logistics. Can you go a little bit into how different they are to work with as a team? You know, there are obviously a lot of range constraints when it comes to using logistics frigates, and you have to screen them much more effectively than you do T2. Wingnut, you know, you're our logistics expert. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, I am the expert. I've never flown a logistics ship. But yeah, effectively, it's mostly difference in cost. It's you can get 2 parts but cheap cost and make a bigger, heavier comp, or you can put all your eggs in that one expensive basket. And it also means you're putting all of your eggs into one pilot as well. So it really is throwing it all in there. So I don't know. I don't fly them because I don't like Logi. So you're asking the wrong person.
A little bit of flame there from Jin throwing that question to the guy who's called Wingnut rather than the guy who's literally named after a logistics ship. Hello, my name is the Basilisk. They've been flying it 2 matches
I thought the
now. They
logistics
keep
ship
flying
was
it.
named after you.
You've asked the wrong person. I'm sorry.
I think the most, as self-proclaimed logistic expert now, I feel I have to answer the question. I think the most important constraint is, as you mentioned, the range. The range of the frigates is like 14, 15k, which if you're going aggressive, if you think you have the sort of area control to stay close to what you need to rep and stay bundled up, then it can be very, very strong. But if you're sort of on the defensive and you're trying to scatter and get everything away, get the logistics frigates out of danger, by sort of getting them out of the way, you also severely negate their actual effectiveness as well. Whereas the logistics cruiser is a little bit more self-sufficient in terms of where they're able to move, where they're able to rep, and what they're able to tank.
So a big difference between the two of them is in terms of a Guardian, which reps a lot more. If you're picking, like, say, Shield, two Kirans or 2 Scalpels rep more than a Scimitar. A Scimitar's got that range control, where the 2 Kirans have got like slightly higher stopping power. I mean, if you're really there for stopper power, you can bring a Basilisk, but a Basilisk has the problem of, like you see in that previous match, not having enough maneuverability. That once it gets to a certain position, it can be literally headshot and go from the match. So if you're looking for long-term survivable logistics, you're bringing double logistics frigates.
All right, guys. Well, the 2 teams are in local. General Stargazer is typing. Yellow text is appearing, and you know what that means. We're only a couple of minutes away from the final match of this 7-week-long tournament extravaganza. So I'd just like to spend a moment thanking Bayart J, General Stargazer, Disc Reader, and all the other people like Terendi and Biohazard who've been involved pushing the buttons behind the scene to make such an amazing tournament possible. Thank you so much for all of your hard work.
You're all bloody
also,
legend.
Amy Muff. There's a million more people that I can't.
CCP Aurora, maybe.
Yeah, CCP Aurora. Bloody hell.
Yeah,
all
there's
right.
so many people behind the scenes making this work.
Yeah. So, join if you want to this time. Chat, join in. Tell us in chat who you think is going to take away the ultimate win here, the golden prize, the gold medal, and quite possibly a golden frigate. BBP, who's taking it home?
Oh, I mean, after that last one, I don't know. Like, I still want to go. I'm still going for platinum sensitivity. I'm still filled with belief.
Wingnut, how about you?
I wanted to say platinum because they've done well, but I think minions have a bit more depth in terms of comps. I think they're going to take it.
BTT?
I'm going to go with the same as I went the last time, platinum sensitivity. I just feel like they brought a comp and the minions countered it, and I now think they're going to counter that comp that the minions brought.
Finally, Bazza.
Oh man, it's tough. I thought the Platinum Sensitivity were in such a good position after the first match. They were in such a strong, commanding position in this series, and having lost that second match against the Nightmare comp, they're really back up against the wall, trying to find, either execute better or bring something that can counter it. But I got to stick with them. I got to stick with Platinum Sensitivity. Good luck.
And personally, I'm putting my money on Platinum Sensitivity. It's going all on red. Let's head over to the arena and let Brett Thomas and Wingnut Cross take us through this final match.
Hello, everybody. My name is Brett Thomas. I'm here with Wingnut, and we're watching the final match, which is Platinum Sensitivity versus the Minions. Platinum Sensitivity have brought a Fleet Typhoon, Navy Harbinger, Navy Brutix, Augur, Pontifex, Triple Blackjaw, and Skybreaker. This is something we saw them fly at the start of today, or we saw someone fly at the start of the day. It's got that bunch of like battle cruiser-esque damage and the Fleet Typhoon with it, and the Blackbird just shutting everything down so they can vomit DPS all over the field. Wingnut, what have the Minions brought?
Well, we brought what we know, what we love, what we all enjoy to see, the Nightmare comp, Nightmare double Claymore, double Gila, double Jackdaw, double Kieran, and a Skybreaker just to fill out the numbers. And oh my god, this is going to be a wild one. That is a world's worth of ECM. They might even need to kill the Nightmare. Oh, they probably will. That's going to be a crazy ride.
Yeah, they have a lot of this battle cruiser DPS that can apply really well to like a Nightmare and the Claymores, and especially can apply at range. Unlike the Sleipnirs of the previous match, they can't really be kited as badly as it was. I think this is a kind of throwback to what we saw Octodad in previous years. It's the same idea of a comp with just a lot of medium range damage that does well in
And
every
then a lot of
situation.
ECM.
Yeah, and a lot of ECM.
It's a mix of like Octodad plus ECM core comps, which is going to be awesome to watch. Jackdaws being the first primary. Of course, these brute navies can hit them with their rails, and so can the hard navy as well. And look at that, Blackbird already being aggroed. The Blackbird's already pissed someone off. You can already tell.
Yeah, we're seeing them go
everywhere.
we're seeing them shoot the jackdaws because the jackdaws have the long enough range to be able to hit these blackbirds. So the blackbirds are like pulling back and they're applying damage to the jackdaw, and all these BCs are rushing in to try and hold stuff down. These BCs are tanky enough with the augur to be able to survive. They know the weak point is the blackbird, so the blackbirds pull back and everything goes in for the tackle. We did just see a jackdaw just completely go down. The battle cruisers finally manages to land enough, get good enough tracking and transversal, and bomb it, and they're going through the second one now. That's gone as well. Jesus Christ.
Oh yeah, if these Blackbirds can hold for the next like couple of minutes, they will win this match. But you see that first Blackbird is going down to half armor. They are being hit by Gila drones. If they can just hold on just long enough, they will turn the tide absolutely if they haven't already.
Yeah, the long range DPS of the Jackdaws have gone down. It now looks like everything's starting to shoot the Kirans. The battle cruisers can apply to this if they do well and transversal match, which it looks like they've done because the Kiran's already down again.
They're doing really well with these battle cruisers for sure, and that Blackbird is still holding. At this point, it's going to start getting worse and worse for our minions here. Platinum might come away with a victory.
Unfortunately, I don't think shooting the Blackbirds was the best idea right now. They've got an Augur on the field for Platinum Sensitivity, and an Augur is not tanky at all, but still applies a lot of reps. They're going to have to chunk through so much damage to break that Blackbird with that Augur arrive. And it looks like all the Claymores and the Nightmares are close to being on top of it, and it's just being left alone.
Interesting as well, that Blackbird also has a swarm of rep drones, like an unbelievable swarm of rep drones. So even if they got rid of the Orc, he would still take forever to die. And of course, these Blackbirds are forcing the enemy team to shoot them with so much rep power on the grid. And you see the second Blackbird actually being shot, and the rep drones are not switching over to him yet. It's just surviving on the Orc as the Skybreaker just goes pop. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, you're seeing these Blackbirds do what I espout every single time I see Blackbirds. They're cross-jamming so that once damage really gets applied to Nightcap just stops, jams dodgy. So all of a sudden you're seeing like Marge get shot a little bit. You're seeing Tomon get shot a little bit because they're jamming something, and the Blackbird, the Claymore and the Blackbirds are just like, oh, okay, fine, I'll jam that.
And again, like as I said, if these Blackbirds can survive the start of the match, and they have, the match is effectively over. Like they haven't been able to do anything back to this team except maybe kill a Skybreaker. Wow. And now we see a Gila now also being pounded upon by these battle cruisers. I'm wondering what the Typhoon Fleet's doing. He's having a fun time too. Fair enough.
Yeah, they're just applying damage really, really well and keeping these Blackbirds alive. We're seeing all of their medium type ships go down. We're seeing the Gila's gone down, and the Nightmare, they've jammed the Claymores. They're just doing all their damage spread out really well. They've got their webs and paints on the Nightmare. The Nightmare's slow, it can't AB over, and they're just now applying their BC damage to it.
You want to know something that is true pain? Do you want to know what hell itself is? It's managing to tackle a Blackbird just for him to cycle off of you and the next Blackbird to jam you from like 50k away.
Yeah, and
Like
it's
this
one of-
Nightmare actually webbed the Blackbird. He actually held it down and was shooting it, and then he got jammed off of it, and it just started flying away.
What the Nightmare is doing, though, which is good now, is he's jamming the Blackbirds, and Blackbirds really struggle with capacitor. They are really cap-heavy ships, and the heavy newts can just shut down these ships hard, which is like looking like it's starting to do well because he's jamming off a Blackbird, and he's not getting jammed as much now.
Yeah, but unfortunately, this Nightmare is now being the primary, so he is not long for the world. The Augur actually got remarkably close to dying, and I think even if he goes down, it's not going to matter, but that's actually quite close. But the Nightmare is now going into armor. He is not going to be long for this world. He's got a Typhon fleet next to him. He's got a Brutix Navy next to him. There's nothing he can do. He's just being ripped apart.
Yeah, like I said, an Ogre in this situation is kind of paper. It doesn't have a lot of the survivability a thing like a Guardian or a Simi has with range. So it might have been an option to shoot it with the Claymores, but as we see this Nightmare go down and the Ogre start to stabilize, all the rep drones are just managing, that were keeping the Blackbirds alive, are just managing to keep the Commentator alive, keep the Ogre alive with all their drones. I'm
Mate,
really
you can't keep me alive
distracted.
with this ECM. This ECM's breaking my heart. You can't keep me alive. Well, these Cyclones are still trying to kill the Org, but there's nothing they can do anymore. That fight is just over. ECM strong. ECM OP.
We're now seeing Ankaras in the Claymore go down. It's burning away and trying to pull range and trying to do what it did previously of kiting, but it's getting tackled down, it's getting slowed down.
He's
and these
MJDing out.
Brutixes-
Yeah. He's MJDing away. I also find it amusing. Why is Ankaras always the first Claymore to get shot? Like
It's
every
because
time.
it's alphabetical top to bottom.
And they both MJD out. Ankaras, actually MJD not out of the arena yet.
He's burning
yeah.
for the edge, so hopefully he gets out before he dies. No, he is dead.
Congratulations to Platinum Sensitivity with once again the crazy ECM comp. They win the tournament and get themselves a sexy AT ship. And with that, we're going to go back to the studio and complain about ECM some more.
We who have seen war will never stop seeing it. In the silence of the night, we will always hear the screams. So this is our story. Wolves amongst strangers.
Did you know that anything can happen in Eltric fleets?
I had a question time, but I couldn't jump. I'm jumping now.
Are you still shaving your balls? Jesus.
Wow, you must have some big balls, you.
Yeah, literally anything.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the studio. Congratulations to Platinum Sensitivity and Mark Bridges taking them to the final and the victory here. They will be, as we talked about before, getting an Alliance Tournament frigate to take home and celebrate with. That will probably fund, as BBP said in chat, their entire Alliance Tournament run. So they are going to be over the moon right now, finishing things up about 8 a.m. local time for themselves. Thank you so much to everyone who's taken part, either as a competitor, as a viewer, or of course my wonderful co-hosts, Black Bart Pirate, Brett Thomas, Wingnut Cross, The Basilisk. Let me tab over for a second. Black Bart Pirate? Did I say Black Bart Pirate already?
Yeah, you can say me twice or three times.
Give him again. Couple black
I think you got us all. You got Brett Thomas. Yeah.
I always feel like I'm going to forget someone, but yeah, what an amazing match. If that's whetted your appetite for some more Alliance Tournament play, get ready. November the 6th, we're going to be doing this all over again, but for 50 times the stakes. Imagine the tension, imagine the drama, and imagine the ECM. But before we go offline, let's hear a couple of things from our director, Bay RJ.
Yeah, I mean, I guess before I wrap up, has anyone else got anything they want to say about that match? It was an interesting match. When I saw the 3 Blackbirds, I just cried inside because I could see how that was going to go. It's absolutely brutal, those Blackbirds just
I
locking
just want
down
to say
that
that I
entire
feel so
team.
sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry for that nightmare. He actually got tackle on a Blackbird, held it down, and then got jammed up by another Blackbird, and he had to watch that Blackbird drive away. Do you know what? That is the most painful thing in existence, is getting the tackle and then watching that thing you tackled leave you.
I'm gonna hurt the brains of most of Twitch chat here, but a triple Blackbird setup actually takes probably more skill than almost anything else we've seen today. Sorry to say it. You guys are gonna be mad about it, but coordinating jams and cross jamming and all that is a lot harder than most of the stuff we've seen. So huge props to Platinum Sensitivity for making that work. That required insane amounts of coordination and skill. So the well-deserved win. I know people are like, ECM, but it's really hard to make work. So we'll see a lot of people feeding that in the actual tournament coming up soon. Just trust me on this.
I know you can find YouTube footage of, I think it was a Volta Vidra match from the Alliance Open out there. I don't know if Ryden's got its public, but no, I think it is. He's put out, and you can hear the match comms of someone, of a team that's trying to execute a ECM set up perfectly, and they are like, just every single jam that's going down is getting called out, which ship is getting jammed, and they have to switch targets in line with those jams or jam fails like really quickly. It's very, like BBP says, absolutely very difficult to pull that off, even though visually it's not particularly interesting. But yeah, I guess thanks to everyone's taken part the last 7 weeks. It's been very fun to watch. We're really looking forward. So if you guys tune into the Alliance tournament, it starts on the 6th of November. So that's the big official tournament run by CCP. There's 40 teams that are going to be competing over 2 weekends. There's going to be the first week going to be like 7 hours each day of constant back-to-back matches. We're actually the actual gap between matches is going to be even tighter than this because we're going to be switching arenas. So it's going to be really fast-paced action. There's going to be explosions all day long. Explosions guaranteed, so make sure you check that out. And a big shout out to everyone who's subbed and followed throughout this. It helps keep us going and it contributes to for us buying various bits of software and hardware and stuff. So thank you very much. Yeah, with that, I guess we'll wrap up and thank you very much.
Just one little thing, just to make it clear, the actual tournament starts at 3 o'clock Eve time. All these weekends have been 7 o'clock Eve time, but the actual tournament is going to be 3 o'clock Eve time on the 6th of November, and then the weekend after that as well, obviously. 6th and 7th. 13th, is it 13th and 14th? Yeah. 3 o'clock. Be there.
Or be square.
Yeah.